mess. Help me. Help me.
Pretty bold, aren't we? I'll take care of you myself. Wait, I give up, I give up. I'll talk what you want to know about a rat. Help me.
Welcome everyone to another stream. This is probably going to be a really barren stream, I can already tell. I wanted to stream a little bit earlier today, but I ended up going out to an arcade, and I was there a long time. And so it's 10:30 now as of starting this stream, starting way later than I wanted to. But this is stream number 400. That's right, number 400. We've been streaming over, 400 times. We probably had a couple more that were deleted for one reason or another. Copyright claims or whatever. But yeah, I actually had a lot of people asking me, like, what are you going to do for stream number 400? You know, it's a milestone. I don't really think of milestones, typically. At least not in terms of, like, video count. I mean, technically, I have over 1,000 videos on my channel, and so it all kind of just blends together after a point in time. Really, the only milestone I sort of paid attention to was my subscriber count. Because, you know, the larger your subscriber count, the more likely you're doing okay on YouTube. And so, you know, my personal goal was 10,000. We hit that a couple years ago. And we're still trucking along with subs. Not as fast as I would like. Not nearly as fast as I would like. But we are still growing, which is good. But as far as video count or stream count, I never really thought about that. I just have always just sort of nose to the ground and just kept doing my thing here. And I never really thought about, you know, my stream number or video number or whatever. So, but a lot of you apparently have. So for that, I wanted to do something a little bit different. And so what we're going to do here is actually just do a Q&A session. We'll just talk, we'll just chat, we'll shoot the crap. And, yeah, we'll just have a good time. I actually have gameplay here. This is not me actually playing live. This is actually pre-recorded gameplay I did for a side channel. It's called Gameplay No Talk. Kind of a redundant channel unless you just prefer straight-up long plays with no commentary. Along with lazy, cheap gameplay videos that aren't long plays. But, yeah, sometimes if I do like dedicated Let's Plays with, you know, with no commentary on top, or the commentary is recorded separately, I can take the gameplay and upload it to this side channel. So a lot of my older Let's Plays are actually on here, minus the commentary, for anybody that's curious. But yeah, we're still gonna have the usual gameplay, but it's gonna be from my side channel. I actually did this concept, I think last year or the year before, where I basically just fired up gameplay and just, you know, talked with you guys. And it worked out pretty well. It seems like a lot of you guys had fun, and so I thought this would make for a good stream number 400. So this is actually Virtua Cop on the PC. This is the Windows 95 version of the game, running on my Windows 95 PC, actually, and it runs pretty well on it. It's a great way to play the original Virtua Cop. Actually, it looks a little bit better than the Saturn version. I think it's actually... I might have been running this at... No, I wasn't running it at a higher resolution. I think there's the option to run it at a higher resolution, but the PC can't keep up with it, if it can even do it to begin with. Virtua Cop 2, I'm pretty sure you can. I'm not sure about the first one. But, yeah, really fun way to play this. We'll probably do some other Sega PC stuff here on this stream. Pretty sure I actually get a game over here shortly. But it gets... This is like towards the end of level 2, and that's where the game really starts getting difficult. It's only a 3-level game, so there's 3 stages. And if you make it through all 3 stages, you'll actually fight like the true final boss and then beat the game. It's pretty cool. But yeah, welcome everybody. I see Mike J. I see Girl Geek. I see Ego. I see Spar. I see Mernin. I see 8-Bit SNK Boy. And Greg. So yeah, this is just gonna be like I said, we're just gonna talk. You guys can ask whatever you want, or you can just talk about whatever, and we'll just kind of just wing it, you know. So, but if you have any topics in particular you want me to address or touch on, do let me know. So 8-Bit SNK Boy says 400. Congratulations, hell yeah, thank you, sir. And Greg says, gotta love Virtua Cop. Spar asks, has anyone else here used a trackball mouse on their PC? I have not. A couple of friends have had trackballs. I've tried using them before, but they're just too awkward for me. But it's something I wouldn't mind trying eventually. Like using a trackball on one of my older retro PCs just for fun, or using it on like a spare PC, like a media PC or something. Mike says he uses a trackball mouse at work. Yeah, the reason is that trackballs might actually be kind of nifty when you're... I don't know, I use a mouse for work, and I obviously use a mouse here for YouTube, when I'm like doing my Photoshop and doing my video editing and all that stuff. And then I also use a mouse for gaming. So it would be kind of nice to actually try something different, see if it's easier on my hands. Because I use a mouse all the time, it does kind of get a little hard on the hands after a while. You know, my fingers are always like curved in a very specific way, and by using a trackball, my fingers would have to operate a little bit differently. Maybe that would be good for them. But yeah, looks like we're about to beat this boss. Yep, he's dead. A lot of the bosses in this game, they always have like desperation shots or moves. Like, he tried to get back and shoot me with a pistol, but no, he wasn't fast enough. Ego says a trackball is a different experience. Yeah, I would imagine, or I could imagine for sure. Let's see what's going on with the kitties. They've been romping. I was gone for like 7 hours, and so they're all just like full of energy right now. I fed them, and Patchouli actually came in here. She was on her bed on the second level, and then Milo came in, and they just started going at it. So now they're running around. Also, I need to actually put this up. Oops. It's more like it. Hey, Trevor, what's going on? Thanks for the congrats on the 400. Picking up Sonic Origins, or do you already own enough versions of those games? I have enough ways to play those games, but no, I do want the collection. I don't think I can justify $40 for it right now, or whatever it is. But I do want them because they're basically like the widescreen versions that they released on... I don't know if they're exactly like the iPhone versions and Android versions, but it's a similar concept where it's, you know, widescreen, and that definitely appeals to me. I definitely want to get those eventually. They'd make for a fun live stream here, actually. I could try to go through all 3 games, or all 4 games. I forgot Sonic CDs on it, too. Yeah, that would be like a 4 to 6 hour long stream. That could be pretty fun, actually. I'd be down for that. That's the main reason I would buy them. Not because I need to play Sonic the Hedgehog in that way, but it would make for like really good stream fodder. I know a lot of you guys would like to see that. Hey, Stevo, welcome back. Stevo asks, do you like to play ROM hacks or fan-made games? Not really. My issue with that type of stuff is that, like, I just have too many other games to play. I like going through the original libraries of, these titles and whatnot. Or games, sorry. And, it's too much to keep on top of. I'm sure I'd like some ROM hacks if I really put some time into them. But, yeah, it's not really my thing. Not to say, like, I won't ever play ROM hacks here, but it's all too much to keep on top of. Like, it's hard enough keeping on top of the original libraries. When you have dozens of consoles like I do, and you try to cover all of them on a channel like I'm running here, it's, you start adding, like, ROM hacks and stuff like that into the mix, it's just, like, it's too much to keep track of. And then I have to keep up with modern games, too, and it's just, like, There's only so much one man can process and keep in his brain. So Mike says he uses a Logitech thumb-controlled trackball. Nice. I typically use Logitech mice to begin with. Greg says your recent original hardware videos like the SNES cartridge play kick ass. Good stuff. Well, thank you. Trying to remember what original hardware videos I've done, though. I think I did some original hardware streams a few months ago now, actually. It was more towards the beginning of this year. Most of my recent playthroughs and whatnot and videos have been with, like, the Mister or the Analog Mega SG or the Retro USB AVS console. I haven't actually done any OG hardware streams here in a while. I've done a bunch on Twitch, but no one cares about Twitch. I know I don't. Spar says he likes the trackball a lot better, but he doesn't know anyone else that games with the trackball. Mike says he's waiting for a physical copy of Sonic Origins. If that ever happens, then he'll get it digitally. Oh, if that never happened, he'll get it digitally on sale. Okay, gotcha. 8-Bit says his original Sega Saturn died on him this week. It's been going strong since 96, but it's finally bit the dust. Well, how did it die? Do you know? Have you even looked at it? It's possible it's something simple. Could be like maybe like a capacitor or something. I bet you it's repairable. Girl Geek, oh man. Are there any systems that you'd like to own in the future? Oh man. Oh, that's a good question, Girl Geek. The problem is I have most of what I want right now. You know, I kind of got back into hardware collecting at a good time, and I was able to get a lot of the stuff that, you know, I love. This actually ties into 8-Bit's question. He says, have you ever sold a console and regretted it? So I'm going to answer both these questions at once. So there's actually a few consoles in the last 10 years or so I sold, and I wish I still had them. And that goes with Girl Geek's question, are there any systems you'd like to own in the future? So that's actually the Vectrex. The Vectrex I sold a while ago, and I regret it because they're really expensive now, and you know it's going to be hard to get one for a good price. Really cool system. I really enjoyed it. I had a nice boxed Neo Geo AES a long time ago. I've told this story multiple times, but there was a US bundle, a gold bundle, so that came with 2 joysticks and a game and the console. Those suckers are like thousands of dollars now. I would still like to have a Neo Geo AES again with like a multi-cart. But that was a big regret. I actually had traded it for a PlayStation 2. This is like 21 years ago now. PlayStation 2s were still unobtainium, so it seemed like a good deal at the time. Neo Geos weren't expensive. You know, not expensive being like a few $100 for a box system. So I traded it for a new in-box PlayStation 2, and obviously PS2s are not worth that much anymore, or not hundreds of dollars. Funny enough, PS2s are actually worth more now than I ever expected them to. It'll still cost you at least $100 for a good PS2 that's working. Used to be able to like not even give those things away. But I sold some other stuff that was more obscure. Like I had the Bandai Apple Pippin. Yeah, I had the Bandai Apple Pippin. And I'd like to get another one of those, but they're too expensive to justify because there's not a lot on it that's really all that good. So that's kind of a bummer, you know. I'm gonna actually switch games here, and this is gonna be Sega Rally, the PC version. Yeah, I'd like to have another Bandai Apple Pippin. It would be cool to cover that here, but I'm not dropping 400 plus on one. You know, it's and by the time I go and finally try to get one, it'll probably be like 500 or 600. It's just stupid. There's a bunch of stuff like that. I had a CDI 450 I sold to a friend, and I regret it. I had a Master System box complete 3D glasses bundle, system console bundle. Those are kind of hard to find, and now they're probably pretty expensive. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff like that I regret selling. But yeah, I'm trying to think what other consoles do I want in the future. One of my grail things is the Nintendo 64 disc drive. I do really want one of those. I'm not sure if I'm going to actually ever be able to get one at this rate that I'm going with money. It's not a console, but I would love to have a Sharp X68000 one day. That would be really cool. I'd like to get an FM Towns Marty. I used to have one, but I had to sell it, and now I actually had one on loan from a friend. I had to ship it back to him earlier this year, unfortunately. So I'm trying to think, what other consoles do I want? I do want a Sega Master System just to have one. I actually don't have one right now, because I play everything through my Genesis or in the Analog Mega SG or the Mister. But I'd like a nice boxed Master System, period. Which is a reason why I regret selling my 3D glasses bundle one. Man, I'm trying to think what else is there. I'm looking at my console shelf thinking, okay, what do I need or want still? I'd like to have a Super Graphics. I wouldn't mind having a real Super Graphics. That'd be cool. I used to have one. Sold it. Sega CD Model 1, boxed and complete. I'd love to have a box and complete Sega CD Model 1. That would be really awesome. I mean, even just having a loose console would be okay in my book. I actually had one for a little while, or a little while being like a week. It's kind of a long story. I'm not going to tell it right now. But for those of you guys that were there with me on Twitch when I got it, yeah, it was a story, all right. Oh, man. Mike has never seen a Vectrex in person. Yeah, they're not too common, unfortunately. Not too common. Merton says, I wish I had a Vectrex. They're so cool. Yeah, they're very cool consoles. And, it's an arcade-style system. You know, pretty much most, if not all, the games on it are very arcadey. And they're very fun. And they're very unique because of its vector monitor. It's a look and feel that just can't be replicated anywhere else. It's very unique. Starblazers asks, do you have an Atari Jaguar? I do. You know what's funny? I actually had thought about doing like a Jaguar Doom stream because Jaguar Doom was my very first video on YouTube. Or my very first public video, I should say.
3, 2, 1.
Girl Geek says Marty's are so expensive. Yeah, they are, Girl Geek. But thankfully they're not skyrocketing like other things. Like, they're still 700-ish for like just a console. In a boxed one, I've seen boxed ones for like 1,000. Or anywhere from 800 to 1,000. Which is obviously a lot of money, but you gotta remember the F and Towns Marty was one of the very first consoles that even hit like 1,000. And it's just kind of stayed around that point, thankfully. It hasn't like... It's not like a $2,000+ thing like an N64 DD. And yeah, it's a lot of money, but there are at least many good games on it. There's quite a few fun games to play, so it's like, you know... And I wouldn't, if I ever paid that kind of money for a Marty, which I might eventually one day, it'll be partially for collector's purposes. It's just, if you want one in your collection, like, you gotta pay the price. But it would also be usable for that price, so I'd look at it as like, hey, I've got a lot of good arcade ports on it, and there are some other unique games. It's just fun. So... Bad corrosion on the motherboard that needs to be sorted out. Yeah, I'd have to see what it looks like, 8-bit, but I bet you, like I said, I bet you it's fixable. Girl Geek says 2 weekends from now she's actually picking up her Vectrex, oddly enough. Very nice. Ego asks, Dreamcast Mini when? Never. Well, don't say never, but... I don't think mini console hardware is really quite there yet to replicate the Dreamcast fully. Agostino, one of my viewers, actually mentioned on Discord that even something like the PlayStation Classic, its hardware is powerful enough to do some Dreamcast stuff at like 30 FPS. So, you know, it's possible that via software emulation, it could happen eventually, but I don't know. There's two things going against it. For one, I don't think the hardware is there yet to do it right. And if you're not going to do it right, then I say don't do it at all. And two, the Dreamcast, while it was an amazing console, and I think it still is, I don't think there's enough people out there nostalgic about it that would rush out and buy a mini console. But then again, they did like a Game Gear Mini in Japan, and I don't even think the Game Gear did that well in Japan. So I guess weirder things have happened. That's kind of where we're at. So never say never, but I think it's pretty unlikely. Spar says, what is even on a Nintendo 64 DD? Isn't it just a handful of games? Yeah, it is just a handful of games. The big one for me is the F-Zero X expansion pack. Mainly for me, it would be like a collector's purpose sort of thing. Although Mario Artist would be kind of fun to mess around with. I believe there's SimCity 64. There's just some stuff like that. It's mainly just like a grail item in that, like, it's the sort of thing you put on a shelf and you ooh and ah over it. And it's also like this mythical thing too. Remember, Nintendo in North America, like, hyped it up to no end. They hyped it up to no end, and then it never released. And so us in North America, we felt kind of shafted. And for a lot of us, like, we've never even seen one in person, so it would be like a dream come true just to have it and be able to experience it. But yeah, it's just one of those like ridiculous collector's things for me. That's it. Like, that's mainly the reason I would have one. But what is that? Hey, Trevor, thanks for joining up as a channel member, sir. Thank you very much. Sorry, I had muted my desktop audio when the alert fired, so sorry about that. I'm actually trying to switch games here. Let's this is actually gonna be kind of funny. Let's do something modern. I forgot I even recorded this when I had my friend's PlayStation 5. This is only like 10 or 15 minutes of gameplay, so but let's try it out. And then we'll switch back over to something retro. Although, like, these are technically modern games, the Souls games, but they're still kind of like retro titles to me in terms of the design choices and the level of difficulty and the requirement of actually having skill and learning from your mistakes and stuff like that. So, but yeah, thanks a lot, Trevor. I appreciate that, much appreciated. Oh yeah, I was gonna say, if we get any bots tonight, I actually found a good tactic to keep them from coming in. That's gonna take some manual work, so if they ever pop in tonight, I'm gonna be trying these alternate techniques to get rid of them. Trevor says, long overdue, been lurking for years. Oh, hell yeah, man. Well, it's good to hear from you. We go back to the old 3DO forum, so it's good to still be able to talk to people from, 10 plus years ago when I was, heavily involved at places like that. Oh, man. Sega needs to release Sega Rally games on modern systems with original graphics. I agree, Mike. Yeah. I bet you it hasn't been done yet because of the licensing. The old Sega Rally games, they do use licensed vehicles. And so Sega would have to reobtain those licenses, and it just might not be worth the trouble for them. And hey, Blue Wolf, welcome back. Hope you're doing well. Speaking of like homebrew and stuff like that, the Vectrex has a pretty strong homebrew community. And Girl Geek, make sure you get a flash card for it. Don't bother buying cartridges because they're stupid expensive, but there are Vectrex multi-carts that you can get. Hey, Spar, thank you very much for that. I just got a new job, so I'm feeling wealthier. I had that feeling too when I got a new job. 6 months later, I feel like a broke ass again. Yeah, I've actually been at my job for 6 months now. Actually, I think it's more like 7. It was mid-December, so yeah, I guess it's actually 7 months. Girl Geek's gonna get a flash cart and some homebrew carts. Right on, right on. Yeah, thanks once again, Spar. Much appreciated. Oh yeah, this wasn't even the very beginning of the game. I just loaded up like a mid-first area checkpoint. I'd beaten the first boss. I think I actually died quite a few times, so this isn't going to be too interesting, but it's a beautiful looking game. I want to get a PS5 just to play this again. I wish Sony would just hurry up and release this on PC.
Could you assist me one last time? Clear out the soldiers blocking this passage, if it please you. The Lord's path, just over there.
Blue Wolf says, sorry, but dumb question. What game is this? This is the Demon Souls remaster or remake for PlayStation 5. This was a remake of a 2009 PlayStation 3 game. Oh man, that compression artifacting is horrible. Yeah, very nice physics and all that good stuff. Great lighting. It's a great PS5 launch title. Definitely one of the reasons to own the console, if you're a fan of this series anyway. Ego says, new job with fresh cash until the bills start to build up. Yeah, unfortunately, I know what that's like. That has been like the first 6 months of my job, is actually trying to deal with bills and stuff like that just kind of like built up prior to the job. Mernon says he still hasn't finished his game for some reason. Well, you should. It's not a really very long game. I did a YouTube stream of it, and I think it took us like 7 or 8 hours to go through. It's the shortest of all the Souls games. So I'd say hurry up and just get it done. Man, such a good-looking game. I wish the compression wasn't so bad, though. Hey, Gedrin, he says, are there any cult classic movies that you'd want to have as a game on a modern system? No, not really. I don't really, I honestly don't really like films translated to games in terms of, like, I don't know, like, more modern games. Like, there's been, like, multiple Evil Dead games, and none of them have been particularly good in my eyes. I don't know. I would just... I liked old, like, movie licenses in 8-bit form, but when it comes to, like, more modern games, I don't really... It's not really something I think about. Blue Wolf says, eventually he'll get a PlayStation 5, but not yet. Still trying to beat other games from other PlayStation consoles. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's gonna be a never-ending, battle there, Blue Wolf. Like, I was talking to a friend earlier tonight, and I was just like, you know, I don't buy that many modern games or even look forward to many modern games because I already have too many other games to play. Between all, like, the retro consoles I own, and even some of, like, the still modern, but not really retro yet consoles, like the 360 and the Wii and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, I've just got too many games to play, and so, you know, I don't really, like, you know, I don't rush out and buy a lot of the, like, latest and greatest titles, because, again, too many other games to play. Yeah, I totally get it, I guess is the point. Ego says a little more manageable than the original one, but still a good challenge. It's actually extremely faithful to the original game. They didn't go around adding in, like, new archstones and stuff like that, as far as I'm aware. It's very faithful, but it's 60 FPS now. It feels a little bit more like a Dark Souls game. The Dark Souls games came after Demon Souls, and so they were a little slightly more refined. And so this definitely, because of those basic quality of life improvements, improved frame rate and improved controls, you know, just improved, overall improved feel, it just, yeah, it is a little bit easier because of that. But it's still, I mean, it's still tough. Like, just like Demon Souls is tough, you know. The thing is, by the time I played this remake, I had gone through the original Demon Souls like 7 or 8 times by that point, and so, like, I was very familiar with the game, and so Demon Souls Remastered was actually kind of on the easy side for me. And I had played a lot of the Dark Souls games, you know, in between, so I had a lot of Souls experience by that point, and so I was able to rip through it pretty, you know, pretty quickly, so. Alex says, games and movies don't mix. The Doom movie was was good awful. Yeah, I can't say I was a huge fan of the Doom movie. I mean, don't get me wrong, I did actually enjoy it when it was new, but we're talking like 2003, 2004. And I was also much dumber back then. The Doom movie was just dumb, like a dumb popcorn movie. But I crapped my pants almost when they did the first-person section. Because not many video game movies had gotten that sort of treatment. Like, really trying to homage the games they're, they're based on. And there's Milo. Say hi to Milo, everybody. Sorry to hear that, 8-Bit. It's almost 4 a.m. there. You should get back to sleep. Have a good night, everybody. Keep up a great job, Austin. The nice crowd here is always appreciated, too. Yeah, much appreciated, 8-Bit. Thanks for the kind words. Alright, let's actually switch games, because I totally forgot that Demon's Souls doesn't really have much music until you get to a boss fight. So we'll go ahead and go back to a retro game, but I thought it would be fun to show that off. Hey, Milo! Starblazers asks, do you think that Sony will release a PlayStation 5 Pro? Maybe. It's too early to tell, but maybe. Gotta give it time. Spar says, I've been without consistent income for 8 months. I was months away from paying off my house before I left my old job and used a house loan to support myself. Oh, man. Well, I'm glad that you're getting things back under control. Having consistent work is obviously very important to that. Mike says, I'll likely get a PS5 whenever they release a slim model. Yeah, I can't say I'm a huge fan of the original PlayStation 5 model. But if one was available and I had the money, I would probably buy it. Just because there is, like... there's good stuff on it. Like, I really want to do the Demon's Souls remake again. And I know Sony's, like, all gung-ho about, revamping other old games. Their internal studio, Bluepoint, is working on something else. Probably another remake of some kind. And, my god, if it's like a Bloodborne remake... I will probably literally just fall over and die. Because it's Demon's Souls remake and a Bloodborne remake. I would just, that's all I would need for a PlayStation 5. That would be more than enough to justify the $500+ or whatever for a disc-based system. Can't remember. Are PS5's 500 or 600? I don't remember. I think they're 500 like the Xbox Series X. Hey, K-Town. K-Town asks, any Steam summer sale games you're planning to pick up? No. But I will take a look. But nothing planned. I'm actually kind of not trying to spend a lot of money on games right now. I've actually... funny enough, I actually splurged a lot this last month and a half. A friend of mine got me back into Beatmania 2DX, which is a rhythm game by Konami. Started in the arcades... and then there's a whole bunch on PlayStation 2, and then there's a modern version for PC you can get. That's like a subscription service. I went out and bought an arcade-style controller and all of the Beatmanias on PlayStation 2. Well, all but one. And that probably set me back $500 or $600. So I'm kind of not trying to buy a lot right now, if you know what I mean. I kind of splurged and, Well, that's not the only things. Yeah, it's not the only things I bought these last couple months. I did buy more NES carts. I bought more SNES carts as well. So between all that, like, I spent a lot of money. So Steam Summer Sale is a very low priority for me right now. I already have 600 to 700 games on Steam. Most of them don't get played. So by me spending money in the Summer Sale, I'm just adding to that list of games that never gets played. Or gets played very rarely, so... I'm also still trying to get my money's worth from Elden Ring. I started a second game on that. Part of that playthrough we actually played here on YouTube, probably about a month ago. So I'm still working my way through that. And yeah, so I don't even have a lot of Steam games that are on, you know, on like a priority right now. But... you know, every time I say, nah, I'm not going to buy anything, I do still take a look, and I inevitably end up buying something during the Steam Summer Sale, but I don't know what that's going to be, if I buy anything at all. We'll see. Mike says the PlayStation 5s are 500. Gotcha. Glorious Gaming says, will you play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge? I already did. I played it last Friday. I did a live stream of it. PlayStation 4 version? No, I played it on Xbox. It's basically the same thing, but I played it. Starblazer says, I just bought Trevor McFur on eBay for the Jaguar. Congratulations. I don't know whether to congratulate or pity you. Have you ever played it before? Oh yeah, Alex. Alex says Returnal on the PlayStation is a sick game. Yeah, that's one of the other games I really want to play. It looks really fun. You know, it's modern, but it's also arcadey at the same time. And that, like, sounds right up my alley. Hey, Crestline, welcome back. You have not played it. Well, I will not say any more. You're gonna have to experience it for yourself. Blue Wolf says you should totally play Sonic Origins next whenever you get a chance. Well, I don't have Sonic Origins, so that's kind of hard for me, and I don't really plan on buying it anytime soon. We had actually talked about it just probably about a half an hour ago, and it looks really cool. But you know, it's not really a high priority for me. It would make for a fun YouTube stream, and that's about it for me. Like, I've played classic Sonic. All together, probably like 100 times over the years. It's literally no joke. Those are some of my most played Genesis games. So I'm honestly kind of sick of classic Sonic. I love the games to death, but they're just games I've played so many times that I have no desire to play them right now. The only reason I would get it is to do a live stream here, and then I'd never play it again. Crestline says he got Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song a week or so ago. He also got Sonic Origins as well. Very nice. Very nice. "3D Sonic stream would be cool," says Mike. I don't know about that, Mike. I'm not really a fan of the 3D Sonic games. The stream would completely consist of me bashing them to bits and pieces, and then I would ruin people's childhoods, and that's just never a good thing. Girl Geek asks, how was round one? It was awesome, as always. I mean, I played 2DX for pretty much the whole time. I did try My, which I have to say I wasn't really a fan of. I played one round of DDR, which is weird because I haven't played in 10 years. That was interesting. I did not get to play Waka because there was some dude that was on it like the entire time. And then by the time it was free, my friend had wanted to leave, so... But I snapped that photo that you saw, so... But yeah, Waka actually looks really cool. Looks way better than My. My is just kind of like, eh. boring. Yeah, so at the round one, it's for those of you guys that don't know, round one is like a nationwide arcade / family fun center type place. It's like a Dave and Buster's, except they have a whole rhythm game section. They've got like 15 to 20 rhythm games there. And they actually have some sit-down modern candy cabinets. And so it's a place that's like Dave & Buster's, but it's a little more welcoming to some of the more hardcore gamers, like the fighting game players, the rhythm and music game players, even some shmups players. Like, they had some shoot 'em ups there. They got a G Darius, they have Salamander 2, and then they have one of their candy cabs loaded with a few different ones, like Raiden 3 and 4, Ikaruga, Akai Katana, Crimson Clover, and I think a couple of others that I'm blanking out on right now, but it's pretty cool. But they have 2 Beatmania 2DX machines there. That's the big draw for me. And that's what kind of got me back into playing that game again. And so when we go up there, you know, we usually stay for 2 or 3 hours, and I'll play Beatmania almost the whole time. My friend goes up to play Sound Voltex, which is another Konami Bamani music game. It's really cool, actually. It's very unique. I like it, but you know, I have to be very selective when I go up there because I mainly want to play Beatmania 2DX. Hey, Jeffrey. Jeffrey says, hey, everyone. I didn't know this stream was happening until a minute ago. Yeah, this was just completely a last-minute thing. I'm going to try to start scheduling streams out in advance again. It's just that, like, lately I haven't really been focusing on my live streams here. I've just been doing them just to do them. I've been winging it, so to speak. Like, I don't have any, like, long playthroughs planned or anything like that, so... You know, we usually just fire up some systems, do some variety streams, and it's usually pretty random. So for that, I apologize. All right. Mernon says he liked the Sonic Adventure games. Yeah, you know, I would probably still enjoy Sonic Adventure 1. I watched my brother play through a good portion of it a few months back. You know, I think I could still get into that. Sonic Adventure 2, on the other hand, I've tried it multiple times, and it's like there's some gameplay style I just don't like. And then they started to focus hardcore on like ridiculously stupid story, and I'm beyond that. I'm not 5 years old. What I love about the classic Sonic games is that there's like almost no story. Like anybody can play them and appreciate them. But the 3D Sonics, it's like they like tried to push them into like a very narrow direction, and it's as you get older, it's harder to appreciate them. It's harder to give two craps about them. Part of it is also that the gameplay is just very all over the place. And then the series just goes all over the place after that, after Sonic Adventure 2. Like Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog and all that dumb stuff. Don't even get me started. You know, I'm gonna stop myself while I'm ahead. Girl Geek says she tried Beatman 2DX Red on that gigantic controller again, and I'm right. You have to two-handed. You don't have to, but playing one-handed, I think, is harder. And you gotta remember, you gotta also start light, Girl Geek. Like, play your level 2 songs on light 7 or whatever. Hey, thank you very much for that, Blue Wolf. Which Smash TV playthrough? I have 2 now. So my latest quick play, for anybody that missed it, is Smash TV for NES. One of my earliest quick plays was actually the Super Nintendo version. So now we have both the Super Nintendo and the NES version. Full playthroughs. Oh, thanks, Jeffrey. Thank you very much. Mernon says, basically after the Dreamcast, Sonic got really sad really quick. Crestline says he enjoyed Sonic Riders and Sonic Riders Zero Gravity. Yeah, I never played a Sonic Riders game. I always kind of wanted to try them. Spar says the only 3D Sonic game he played is Sonic Boom on the Wii U. See, now that, I did actually get that right when it came out, because the preview videos did make it seem like it was going back to more straightforward gameplay. And it looked pretty fun, and I did enjoy what I played of it, but I hit a roadblock partway through, and then I just put it down. I never went back to it. So maybe that's one of those games I will go back to eventually. Jeffrey says, still hoping you try the arcade version of Smash TV. Well, I have, just not on YouTube. I went on a Smash TV binge, and I played like every version available. Don't play the Game Gear or Master System versions, guys. They suck. Badly. And I mean that, too. I mean it really. I mean it. But I did play a lot of the arcade version, and it's brutal. You probably won't see a quick play of it. For one, I think people are Smash TV'd out. Two, I'll just get to the first boss and just get annihilated, and... the bosses in Arcade Smash TV are super, super random. Extremely difficult for, like, all the wrong reasons. They're much more controllable in the Super Nintendo one. Blue Wolf asks, am I a fan of the Metal Gear series? Not really. And that's not because, like, I don't like them. It's just because I've barely played them. So, yeah, that's on my to-do list. I want to actually start with the old ones I grew up with, or I grew up around, I should say. Like, a bunch of my friends had, like, the first Metal Gear, and a bunch of them even had Snake's Revenge, and, you know, they were popular games amongst, the kids I grew up with back in the day. So I want to start with those, and then move on to maybe Metal Gear Solid. Maybe. We'll just see how I feel. But it's probably going to be a while before anything like that happens. Sivo asks, have I played Funhouse? Well, I guess there's two Funhouses. There's Krusty's Funhouse, and then there's, like, Funhouse based on a TV show. I did actually play the one that's based on a TV show, and it was actually kind of fun. So, yeah. Krusty's Funhouse is, like, the more puzzle type of game. Puzzle platformer. Never really put a lot of time into that game. Hey, John Smith, welcome back. Oh, Girl Geek, you were playing Light 5 on Beatmania 2DX? Interesting. Honestly, I would say go all out, and I would just play 7-key mode on Beatmania, because, like, if you're gonna do 5-key, I would recommend just doing, like, using an actual Beatmania 5-key controller. Because I feel like with the extra 2 keys, you're going to end up pressing the unused keys accidentally. I would just start slow on the 7-key mode. You'll pick it up pretty quickly. I mean, you play poppin' music. And also remember to start slow. You got practice modes where you can, like, slow down the music. Like, if you really feel you need that crutch, then go for it. One of the great things about Beatmania 2DX is they have all those options to get players up to speed quickly. They don't just throw you into the deep end. You know, you have, great practice options and stuff like that. Hey, Haywood says, I still play DDR 22 years and I still love it. Hell yeah. Yeah, if I had a ground level, I would totally play DDR. I'd get a good pad, and I would go get the PS2 versions again. My favorite was the Japanese PS2 DDR Extreme back in the day. I played that a lot. John Smith says he started playing Painkiller. Hell yeah. Oh, Jeffrey, no, it's not that I'm Smash TV'd out. It's that I'm sure my viewers are. It always happens whenever I post, duplicates or versions of games on other systems back to back. Like whenever I did Ys 3, I did a bunch like back to back. Like Super Nintendo, Genesis, Famicom, PC Engine, and then PS2, and like by the time I got to my PS2 version, like nobody was watching. So it was interesting to me, but it wasn't interesting to anybody else. By the way, guys, I have almost every version of Ys 3 as a playthrough on my channel. Feel free to go check them out. Give them a thumbs up and boost them in the algorithm. Also, feel free to go through my playlists, because there's a good chance, like, I've played something that you probably are wondering if I've played or not. But those streams are so old now that, like, nobody knows they exist. Ys 3 is the side-scroller, yeah. The one, the only. I don't think there are any other Ys games that are side-scrollers. I had always wished they would go back to that format, because it was fun. It was interesting seeing how they were done a little bit differently on each platform, especially the PS2 remake. Blue Wolf says Mercs from Capcom was a lot more challenging than Smash TV. Yeah, that's a definite no. Definitely not. Mercs is definitely not harder than Smash TV. Especially if we're talking arcade Smash TV. Yeah, cannot agree with that. Chris Lyon says, same thing with Doom, Duke 3D, or Quake. He doesn't mind seeing different ports being played to see how different they are. Yeah, I like showing off the different versions of all those games too. But I do have to space them out a little bit. Thankfully, I've been doing those for such a long time that, I've done most of them already. Blue Wolf says, you're right, Austin. Am I? No, I definitely am. I don't want to sound cocky, but holy hell, Smash TV is like... Arcade Smash TV feels like it's impossible. I've made really good progress on Mercs. I've beaten the Genesis version as well. Got really far in the arcade game on 1 credit. It's like I could barely get past the first level on Arcade Smash TV on 1 credit. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Now, the console versions of Smash TV are easier. Super Nintendo's easier than the arcade game by a long shot. It's still really hard, too. It's like, it's not an easy game on Super Nintendo. NES Smash TV, I wouldn't call it easy, but it's far more doable than the Super Nintendo or arcade versions. Haywood says Guerrilla War was fun. Yeah, that was a cool game. I mainly only played the NES version. I don't think I messed around with the arcade game. Oh, Valis. Yeah, Valis is another side-scroller. But Valis is more like an action game. Whereas Ys 3 is more like an action RPG. Because you can grind out, get experience points, and you revisit old areas over and over. Spar says, do you like the PS2 Pitfall game? The Wii version is widescreen. It can be played with the GameCube controller. I've been enjoying that quite a bit recently. Are you talking Beyond the Jungle? I've never actually played that. So yeah, I've got no thoughts on it. I actually missed out on most of those 3D platformers from that era. I played a little bit of Haven on PS2. I'm trying to think of other ones I played, and I can't think of any. I did do Mario Galaxy in the Wii, but PS2 era, I barely played any of the 3D platformers then. Hey, Atrocity, what's going on? Apologies if you get this question a lot, but I'm curious if you play JRPGs. I figured you were gonna ask me what my favorite Castlevania game was. curious if you play a lot of JRPGs. Obviously, they wouldn't be on the channel due to their length, but I was wondering if you like the genre. I mean, I guess I technically like it because there are several I grew up with, like Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 2 and 3, aka 4 and 6, even Mystic Quest. I love those games growing up as a kid. I also played the Dragon Warrior games growing up. But I never really went back to the genre after, towards the late 90s. I just kind of fell out of it and didn't really have any interest in them. And when I did try to play some, I would lose interest in like the first hour or so of most of the JRPGs I played. So I don't know. It's like, yes, I like the genre, but at the same time, I don't really ever get the urge to play it. So, or the ones I do try to play, I lose interest really fast. So yeah, I guess that's kind of my answer. I have played some over the years. Like, some of you guys know I got into the first Xenoblade Chronicles. And I'm actually kind of in the middle of a personal off-stream playthrough of that on the Switch right now. It's been slow going because I don't enjoy it as much as I used to. Especially like a lot of like the story beats. When there's nothing crazy going on, the story is kind of boring. The character interactions are kind of bleh. Combat is still fun, but I don't know. By the time I start playing it, it's like late at night and I'm ready to go to bed, but I play the game instead, and I'm just kind of like in zombie mode as I play, which that's not really a great way to play games. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. Maybe I don't like JRPGs that much. Maybe that's what it is. I will say, when I try to play something that's RPG-ish these days, I have the most fun with action RPGs. I still love going back to the first Diablo. I love the East games. I still love playing Secret of Mana. That's one of my all-time favorites. So, that said, I did start up Final Fantasy 4 and 6 recently. Since I have the cartridges on Super Nintendo, I figured, hey, let's play around with it for a little bit, and I was having a good time. Because Final Fantasy 6 in particular, it holds up so well. I think that could also be a part of it, is like, I was actually talking to a friend about this tonight when I went to round 1, is that the bar was set pretty high for me at a young age. Like, I love the first Final Fantasy, still do. Final Fantasy 4 is fun, but Final Fantasy 6 is like, man, it's like top tier. And like, how do you go on from that? So many other RPGs are gonna feel bland or tedious in comparison, and maybe that's just a part of it. Like, I started really high, and a lot of the other games in the genre are not that good in comparison, and so I lose interest real fast. I do still want to go back and try to play through some of the Final Fantasies I missed, like Part 7. Part 9 looks like a lot of fun. Even Part 10 looks really good, based on like some recent reviews I've seen of all those. So, I mean, one of these days I might go back and play some of them. But I don't have the time or energy to try to like really dive into that genre, like hardcore. Because as you guys know, RPGs in general are very, time consuming, and I've got a lot of other games to play, so I'm not one of those guys that can just sit and play 4 games a year. I have to play like 400 games a year, and I can't do that if I'm playing JRPGs. Or just RPGs in general. Girl Geek, thank you for that tip, by the way. What's your favorite Castlevania? Oh, man. My favorite Castlevania is that weird one they released on cell phones in the early 2000s. No one even remembers its name. Hey, Andy, welcome back. Alex asks, have you ever gotten into the old PS1 game Armored Core? No, I haven't, really. I never actually played it on I never played those games on PS1. I did have Armored Core 2 on PlayStation 2, and I tried to get into it actually even a couple of years ago, and was kind of unsuccessful. It's kind of hard to wrap my head around those games. They control very weird to me. It's one of those franchises maybe I'll be able to get into eventually, but they haven't really clicked or resonated with me just yet. Those are old From Software games, by the way. Like, that was their jam before Dark Souls took over everything they make. Jeffrey says, Order of Shadows. That might be it. The cell phone game. What? With the Akamo Joe jacket with the MT32 hooked up. I'd have to hear the MT32 version. I'm actually... I don't get a hard-on for the MT32 like a lot of you guys do. I know, sacrilege, right? But I'd have to hear it. I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh, because it's the MT32, it's automatically better. I actually really like, I really like the lower bitrate distorted sound samples of some of the old sound hardware. It just has this, like, really neat sound to it that I've always appreciated. You hear it a lot in arcade games. It's very crunchy. And one of the sound processors that you can use with Castlevania on 68,000 is like that. And that's always been like my preferred way to hear the soundtrack. Atrocity says, that's understandable. I've fallen out of liking genres too. Like you, I had set the bar high as a kid. My first two JRPGs were Final Fantasy VII and Chrono Trigger. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Actually, I played a lot of Mario RPG back in the day, which is fantastic. I did play through Chrono Trigger in recent years. I didn't love it like people did, but I see why people love it. Gorky says she's got to figure out where she put her SC55 and the TX81. We'll have to do a comparison of all four options. Yeah, well, Girl Geek, there's actually, on the PlayStation version of the game, you can actually configure all four options within it. So what I'll do is, one of these days, I'll hook that up and I'll, like, switch between all the versions. I want to say it replicates the MT32 sound. We'll have to mess around with it someday. Hey Tom, welcome back. Tom says, if it hasn't been asked yet, what got you into retro gaming in the first place? It was just normality for me, Tom. There wasn't really a quote-unquote getting into it because I was always into it. There was a period where I had to sell off all my consoles, but I've always been playing this stuff. A lot of the stuff that's considered like obscure now, I was playing in the 90s when stuff was just being liquidated, and I had just never stopped playing. You know, within reason. Like when I had to sell everything, obviously it was harder to play something like the Jaguar at that point, but I eventually got another Jaguar in 2009. That was actually what kickstarted my YouTube channel. Was the Jaguar was kind of obscure, not many people were talking about it, and I just got another console again, and so I bought a camcorder and shot it at my TV and did videos. I thought it would be kind of fun to do like a let's watch an old YouTube video of mine. Maybe I can play my first video ever later on in the stream if you guys want to see that, which is Doom on the Jaguar. It's a 10-minute long video. But yeah, man, so before I had to sell my stuff off in like 2006-ish, I had collected. I had a list of all my games and all my consoles and all that stuff, and You know, I had dozens of systems in high school. Like, you know, because a lot of the stuff that was considered old at the time, nobody wanted. Like, you can go to thrift stores, you can go to flea markets and yard sales and get stuff super cheap. I bought an Intellivision console for $1 in the late 90s. Like, that's how cheap some of the stuff got. $1 for a whole console that worked. That same console is probably like 80 or 90 right now. I don't know. What are Intellivisions worth these days? Or maybe they're still like 50 for a loose console. I don't know. Yeah, let's just say like I've always been in it. Like there were a couple periods where I started to focus on other hobbies, but because I grew up with this stuff, it's always been normal for me to play them. I was never one of those people that was like, oh, this game is old, let me get rid of it. No, I always like, well, I did trade stuff in. It wasn't because it was old, it was because I wanted something else. And I just usually didn't have money, so I would trade stuff in to get what else I wanted. But a lot of the times, what else I wanted was old, still. Even in the late 90s and early 2000s, I was still buying lots of stuff like my NES and Genesis and Super Nintendo, Sega CD, 32X, Jaguar, TurboGrafx, you know, Dreamcast, PlayStation, Saturn, whatever. It was just normality for me. It's always been normality. So... Tom says, as you know, I'm old enough to actually have memories all the way back to the 2600s. Starting around 2016, I really began to dislike where modern gaming was and is going. Yeah, I'm there with you. Like, the 2600 was my first console. That actually happened to me a little bit earlier. Like, I became very disenchanted with modern gaming around 2010 or so. I still bought another 360. Like, I had to sell my original launch day 360 when I was out on my own and I needed money. But in 2010, I bought an Xbox 360 Slim, and I really loved it, you know, but I mainly played retro games on it. I was buying a lot of the Xbox Live Arcade games, lots of shoot-'em-ups and arcade games and stuff like that. And then there was a lot of stuff that I didn't care for about modern gaming at the time. For one, I was still rocking a CRT, and pretty much by 2010, just about every game stopped supporting standard resolutions that users would have to, you know, view on a CRT. So games were always letterboxed, like Splatterhouse and Castlevania Lords of Shadow and stuff like that. And as a result, text was like impossible to read for me. So that was one thing. I absolutely hated that transition because I wasn't ready to have a flat screen television, and I wasn't ready to give up my CRT either. And I never did, actually. I still technically have that CRT. And I have 3 or 4 others now, too. Which is a big difference from 2010. But there was other stuff, too. Like, games being released unfinished. And, you know, you'd have to wait on patches for the game to be fixed. There was also some nasty, just drama with things like Capcom putting DLC on the disc itself. So the content was already there, but they're still charging you for it anyway. There was a lot of like bad business practices like that really soured me on the industry at the time. And I was also, you know, a year prior to that, I had started my YouTube channel. That became a major focus of my life very quickly. And so, you know, there was also more of a reason to focus on retro stuff because of my YouTube channel. I've always shown off a little bit of modern here and there, but, you know, retro has mostly been my focus on this channel for the whole 13 years it's been up. It's almost 13 years now. Come October, it'll be 13. Yeah, so I totally understand the whole disenchantment thing with modern gaming. I've since kind of gotten back into modern gaming. You know, when I got my Wii U, I was reinvigorated a bit because Nintendo's stuff was definitely more back to basics compared to a lot of the other stuff on the market. They were much less reliant on DLC. They were mostly just focused on creating like a good single-player game. And at that time, end of 2012, early 2013, like that really started to resonate with me. So I played a lot of Wii U games. And then later in 2013, I ended up buying myself an Xbox One because they had done a KI revival. Killer Instinct was for perspective, I had a Killer Instinct 2 arcade cabinet at the time. And so, like, there's a lot of nostalgia there for me. And so I was like, okay, if I'm going to get a modern console, I'm going to have to get the Xbox to start because they've got Killer Instinct. And over the next couple of years, there's several modern games I really loved. Like, obviously, Doom 2016 was a huge one eventually, but I loved Sunset Overdrive. You know, I played through Halo 5. Didn't love it, but, you know, I enjoyed it enough. And, you know, and it seemed like the industry practices were kind of reversing a little bit. Yeah, we're still heavily reliant on DLC, but at least it's not scummy in the way that, like, you're packaging your DLC on the physical disc, you know, like Capcom was doing. Yeah, so I've kind of come back and opened back up to modern gaming, but it's still not a focus for me these days. I still mostly focus on retro, because as I get older, I less and less want to just sit and just burn away hours and hours on a single game. Like, I want to be able to make progress and feel like I'm improving quickly, and retro is really good for that. Whereas something like Elden Ring is not. I'm still enjoying Elden Ring, I'm still playing it, but every time I play it and I fire it up, I think of, like, what other more constructive things I could be doing with my life. At least with conquering an old retro game, not only is it satisfying, but it can also be turned into a YouTube video eventually, so it can also be productive. Hey, Executioner, what's going on? And Zero, welcome back, guys. Tom would also add the forced multiplayer stuff, yeah. Tom says you literally just finished playing Sunset Overdrive. Very nice, man. A lot of people knock that game, but I had a ton of fun with it. I loved just the gameplay was very fun, you know. I love all the humor. It's so stupid by the end. It's great. It's just totally self-aware, and, like, I had a great time playing that game. And then afterwards, I went back and tried to do most of the collectathon stuff. I put like 40 or 50 hours on that game. Atrocity says, looking at his Switch shelf, everything's either a remaster, retro-inspired, or a first-party Nintendo game. Other than Doom 2016, I don't know if I've ever liked modern games. Yeah, dude, I stopped buying a lot of that stuff because that's what my PS4 and Switch libraries ended up being. It's like a bunch of re-releases of old games, or a bunch of re-releases of old games I'll never even play, or retro-inspired games, or games by Nintendo. So I ended up getting rid of a lot of that stuff, and then I try to refrain from buying it now, because, you know, I don't need that to be my collections for those systems. Alright, let's scroll back up the chat here. Girl Geek asks, did you find it's harder to enjoy games since you started the YouTube channel? Man, that's a good question. I don't... Maybe a little bit, Girl Geek. So, like, I used to play a lot of modern games. I used to keep on top of it really well. And had I not started my YouTube channel, maybe I would be more focused on modern games in general. Maybe I would have, you know, kind of moved along with the industry and modern games, as opposed to kind of like moving backwards into retro. I mean, I still love playing video games. It's still like the thing I do the most. It's just weird for me to go through a day without playing something. That's it's kind of a deep question. I don't know, honestly. It's weird for me to even think about. You know, I just realized this playthrough right here is actually different from my my actual Let's Play. I think this was like the practice session. I think I just happened to record the practice session. Because I remember in the Let's Play, I actually died at that boss. I got to the boss with like 1 hit point. Interesting. Oh, Executioner, that's right, you were at Too Many Games. Well, thanks for popping in, man. Hope you had fun there. I'd like to get up there some year. Zero says, late to the party, but wanted to chime in. Retro is the best, but there are still good games being released today. You just have to look a little bit harder to find them. Yes, I agree. I mean, look, Shredder's Revenge just came out. I thought it was amazing. And there are lots of other games like that, too. And that's just one example. And that's just like a retro-inspired example. I'm sure there are plenty of other, like, actually modern games that are still really fun to play that I would get into. But another thing I was talking to a friend about today, because this arcade's in a mall, we decided to walk around the mall, so we talked about a bunch of stuff. And one of the things was that, like, the never-expanding list of games that are constantly being released, it's absolutely impossible to know about everything that's out there, and it's impossible to catch up and experience everything. You really have to go digging these days, because there's just so much out there. And you're never going to get to most of it. It was one thing when the industry was small. You know, we were in the 16-bit era. You felt like you could still kind of keep on top of things. Especially as emulators came around, and you could just literally have a list of ROMs and just bounce from game to game to game just to experience them for a little bit. You can't do that nowadays with modern games. It's impossible. Even if, like, you could technically, like, pirate everything in existence, you can't just, like, quickly fire up a game and experience it and kind of get what it's about in, like, 5 minutes. You gotta skip through introductions and tutorials and splash screens and, you know, go through load sequences. And it's like, it'll never be like it was in the 90s, where, like, it was doable for someone to be really into it and actually kind of experience the majority of a console's library, even if it was just brief. Yeah, extremely difficult to keep on top of it all, and you do have to go digging. Girl Geek says she misses being able to rent games for a week for $1. Hey, Jeffrey, yeah, so all the gameplay here is actually from a side channel of mine where I just post long plays and stuff like that. A lot of it comes from dedicated playthroughs I've done here on YouTube, but since I record my voice separately, I can just upload the raw gameplay without the voice, and then just kind of have like a, you know, more usefulness of the capture footage I grab here from my gameplay and talk page. Mernon says, I usually have the few games I look forward to each year, and I don't really get anything past that. Yeah, and your game styles that you're really into are also typically, like, long games. So, like, just getting a few games a year is probably more than enough for someone like you. I do get the occasional long game, like, my big one this year was Elden Ring. Like, I've already put about 140 hours into it. 106 for the first playthrough, and we're up to, like, hour number 30 or 40 on my second playthrough now. Granted, I'm making a lot more progress, but the longest I typically play are, like, the Dark Souls games, and I can rip through those in, like, 15 hours. It'll take 12 to 15, depending on the Souls game. And depending on how much, like, completion I want to go for. But outside from that, I usually play stuff like what you're seeing here, like more retro games, shorter games, under an hour long. Everything past that, I have to be in, like, a very particular mood. Let's see, Milo! Milo! I forgot I was on mute. Yeah, I wanted to actually switch back over to show this boss fight because I know a lot of you guys like to see it. It's one of the coolest visual effects on the Genesis in general. Genesis and Mega Drive. Spar says the thing he likes about the Atari VCS is the small community of recognizable names. Yeah, I actually really miss that about like earlier online gaming where these communities weren't nearly as large as they are. Online gaming wasn't like this massive phenomenon that it is now. You know, so you would see names and you would recognize them because of the smaller community. Now it's like, unless you're playing with like the same group of people every day and whatever, it's, or you're playing games that are in much more niche communities. Like the arcade gaming scene now is much smaller. So you see several people's names in those scenes, or like the Shmups community. If you go to a Shmups leaderboard, you're gonna see a lot of the same people in like the top 100 for each leaderboard. But, you know, if it's something like I don't know, if you're playing like a popular first-person shooter or something like that, you're not gonna recognize any of the damn names. Alright, later Executioner, thanks for hanging out, dude. Sleep well. Mernin, when is Xenoblade 3 coming out? Is there a hard release date yet? I'm not even going to pay attention to it because I haven't even started part 2 yet. Which I might do. I did buy it again. I had traded in my original copy. Or I had traded in the previous 2 copies I had. I bought one for myself when it was brand new. And then I sold it. And then I bought another one from a viewer, an older viewer here. And realized I was never going to get to it. And so I traded it in, I think, last year. But then I got bit by the Xenoblade bug again. I started playing part 1 on the Switch again. And I was like, you know what? They just re-released Xenoblade 2. Like, Nintendo republished it, thankfully. And so I was able to go out and buy another one for, like, you know, the usual $50. And so now I have it. I don't plan on selling it. Because I do want to finish this first Xenoblade playthrough I'm working on again. It's going to be a while. But I'm making slow progress. And then maybe I'll move on to part 2. I don't know. I do remember playing part 2 when I first owned it. And I didn't like any of the characters. You know, Xenoblade 1, like, all the characters in the beginning are pretty likable. You know, you kind of look up to them. And in Xenoblade 2, everyone you wanted to punch in the face. And I don't like character writing like that. I understand why it is the way it is, but given, like, the twist in the very beginning of the game. But still, wasn't really a big fan of the character writing. But it was also early in the game. Maybe it gets better. Mernin says Xenoblade 3 was originally September, but they moved it up. July 29th. Really? It's less than a month away. That's awesome. Very cool. John J says, I stopped playing online because it got too popular and crazy. Yeah, I feel like if you're going to play online these days, you really need to just, like, form your own small community. Like, have a group of friends that you play with, and then just kind of stick with that. And it also depends on the game. Some games are a lot more niche than others. Like, if I go and play Unreal Tournament, you know, that's going to be a very small community compared to something like Fortnite. So I will run into, like, regulars, you know, that play the game regularly. Mernin says, Xenoblade 2 is not as good as the first game, but there's a major payoff at the end. Right on. Well, I'll have to get your thoughts on part 3 after you've played the hell out of it. One of my things about Xenoblade is that, like, the first game, when I first played it, for one, I was playing it on the Wii. I wasn't playing, like, the remaster. And it was the first game of its kind I had really seen. Like, the huge environments, the pseudo-open-world design. But it was very much like an action JRPG, which was also refreshing to me at the time. Also, the soundtrack was and still is phenomenal. It's still I think one of the best soundtracks ever made for a video game. Or even not a video game. Like, it's still one of the best soundtracks I think ever made, period. Xenoblade 1 has so much good music in it. But the whole thing that made Xenoblade 1 fresh for me at the time, it's like, it's kind of old and stagnant now. It's not special anymore in that regard. And that's kind of like what Xenoblade 2 kind of came off to me as. I was like, oh, it's just more of the same. It didn't have that wow factor that the first game had for me. And then also the writing that I mentioned and whatever. So... Mike asks, do I like strategy games? I've been playing Civilization 6 a lot lately. I'm gonna say not really, Mike. I mean, I can play them a little bit. Especially old ones, like real-time strategy games. And I love the good round of, like, SimCity or SimCity 2000. But it's not really a genre I play a lot of. I haven't played any Civilization game yet, even though I actually have a couple of them. Wait, no, I don't have any of them, actually. I was thinking Age of Empires. That's more RTS. But yeah, no, I've never actually played a Civ game. I've seen them in action, but yeah, I've never got around to really messing around with him. I've never played General Chaos, no, but I know what you're talking about. Mernon says, Xenoblade 2 does get better. It was made by a side team, so that's why it seems a bit off compared to the first game. Gotcha. So one thing I will say, Mernon, is when I got Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U, I actually really enjoyed the gameplay in that one. But that was like actual open world, so it was still kind of like fresh compared to the first game. I put about 30 hours into it, and then I stopped because, like, I got stuck at a part. And it was kind of a bad way to get stuck. But without completing this one side mission, I can't actually push the story forward. And it was like a mission where you had to collect certain items, like a certain amount of these items, but they only get dropped at a very specific area where you have to fight very specific enemies. And then, but the enemies don't usually drop the items. It's like doesn't seem like a very common drop, and so you just have to grind and grind and grind, and I was like, I give up. I never went back to it. But I want to go back to it, because I love the soundtrack in the game. The gameplay was super fun. I think that was the change Xenoblade needed, was having an actual open world. I'm not sure if Xenoblade Chronicles 2 does that, but Xenoblade Chronicles X offered an actual open world, which was a unique twist compared to the first game. Unfortunately, I heard that they ended that one on a cliffhanger, so hopefully they actually follow that up in the future. Seemed like a nice little side kind of Xenoblade game. Mernon says, Xenoblade 3 seems to be proper open world like Xenoblade Chronicles X. Can't confirm that yet, but it looks that way. Oh, very interesting. Yeah, you'll definitely have to let me know. Alright guys, you can watch the end here. I'm gonna go use the bathroom real quick. I will be right back. Alright, there we go. I'm back. Just powdered down some water, too. Surprised we haven't had any bots yet. Oh, I meant to grab some real quick. I'll be right back. Oh, man. Hey, Leo. Welcome back. Brian, this is The Adventures of Batman and Robin for the Sega Genesis. John says, not sure if anyone would consider Return Fire a strategy game, but that and XCOM UFO Defense are some awesome older titles. Yeah, I never messed around with XCOM. Return Fire, I wouldn't consider it a strategy game. It is definitely action-based. Granted, action games can have lots of strategy, too. But, yeah, those are... Return Fire, at least, is pretty cool. I played that a little bit. Specifically, the 3DO version. Jeffrey says, well, hey, if we're asking questions, have you ever played Doom? What's your favorite Castlevania? Why is the sky blue? Why is the airspeed of an unladen swallow? What is the airspeed of an unladen swallow? Oh, no, your question was totally serious, Jeffrey. Have I played Phantom 2049? I have not. But I've seen it. I've seen some videos of it. I have seen some videos. Not sure if it would really be my cup of tea, but I might try it someday. All right, let's see what I've got here. This will be a fun one. And there's Milo. Hey, Milo. Milo boy. Milo boy. Oh, there. What was that? What was that? Really? He's got so much energy right now. This is why when I started petting him, he was trying to fight me. I was like, yeah, this isn't a good time. We have Apache. Man, he's really got a grip on this thing. I can't get it loose. Hey, Cafe Man, welcome back. It's nice being able to have like quality eye-hand coordination. It helps when playing with the cats. I can make it a challenge on them because sometimes I can be faster than they can. Ooh. But they say you want to, if they get a hold of it, you kind of want to let them gnaw on it for a little bit. It makes them feel better. It's like congratulating them and actually catching the item that you're flinging around. But Julie's on the ground. You can see her.
What are you doing?
So I'm surprised he hasn't done it yet, but I have a bird feather on a stick. He'll actually grab the feather and like run off with the whole stick if you let him. I'll have to chase him around the apartment with the stick in my hands. And while he's got the feather in his mouth, he's trying to drag it to another part of the apartment. Cafe Man says, how long have I lived here? Nicely organized gaming shelves. I've been here for 10 years come October. Granted, I've switched rooms twice. This used to be my bedroom slash game room when I had a roommate. And then I turned the old roommate's room into a game room, which was my first game room after they moved out. That roommate being my brother. And then, early last year, I got the idea to turn this back into a game room because I just wasn't really using my bedroom outside of just sleeping. So I thought it was a big waste of space considering that I was always in my game room. So I made this my game room. Can you let go, Milo? It's weird having Alone in the Dark music playing to cats playing. Leo says, what's my favorite compilation? And what would be my dream compilation that I wish existed? Oh, man. I mean, so Leo, I'd have to say probably one of the Capcom collections. I really loved Capcom Classics Volume 1 and 2 back in the day. And honestly, nowadays, I'd probably be like, well, Capcom Arcade Stadium is probably my favorite compilation, but the fact is, it's like I've played those games on the ground before, so I don't really care that much. As far as a collection I wish existed, man. This guy is always full of energy, like, he will never stop. He's got so much energy. Alright, let's put this away. I have to try to find a place that he can't really get to. I'll put it behind my monitors. Good boy, Milo. Good boy. Alright. That was fun. Patchouli was just like, eh, and she just left. She was underneath the second condo. She was underneath the second tier. I mean, Leo, as far as like a compilation that I wish existed, man. I'd like to see a Castlevania. Well, I guess we already have a Castlevania collection now. I'd like to see a more complete Castlevania collection. Castlevania collection with like all the DS games, along with all the old classic ones already in that first pack. Also include X68000, Rondo of Blood, Super Nintendo Dracula X, the Game Boy Advance games. Just all in one collection would be great. It's kind of redundant. There are two collections, and there's other standalone releases of like Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night. More shoot-'em-up collections would be cool. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, as far as my dream collection, I guess they've already been done, Leo. Like, the Capcom Classics collections were really good for their time. And I really love those Capcom CPS-1 games and some of the CPS-2 games. And that's... yeah. I know, it's kind of a cop-out answer. I guess it's just because, like, there's not a lot of games that I'd like to really see on a collection that haven't already been done. Leo says he played through Top Gear 3000 for the first time last night. Oh, very nice. What did you think of that, Leo? He probably played it on his Mega SG Cafe, man. Not Mega SG, Super NT. Does anybody know anything about the Retro Stick? I'm looking to play some old NES. I do not know much about the Retro Stick. Those kinds of devices I don't usually mess around with because I really have no need to. I'm not sure the quality of its emulation, so I really can't speak to it. Leo says, I think he thinks his definitive dream collection is an Outrun compilation with wheel and pedal support for the arcade games. Yeah, you know, Leo, I'd be down for something like that, for sure. If there was a huge Outrun collection with like 20 games on it, and I'm talking like, you know, the arcade games, but also like the console conversions and stuff like that, and some of the spin-offs like Outrun Europa and whatever, the Game Gear Outrun, weird stuff like that, I'd totally be down for that. Yeah, so it's not to say like there aren't like dream collections that I wouldn't be down for. I just... Something like that one just completely eclipsed me. I should have actually mentioned something like that, but I wasn't thinking about it. But yeah, that would be a really good one for sure. Trevor says, I gotta bust out some Dr. Hauser next. Oh god, man. I'm not like you guys. I wasn't able to get into that one. It's so slow. It's a really cool concept. I love the fact that you can die at almost like any given moment. But, man, that frame rate, you know me and frame rates, me and bad frame rates don't get along. So, maybe one of these days, Oh, Leo says he's owned Top Gear 3000 since about 2003, back when it was a cheap game to buy used, but he's never done more than just briefly check it out. And he says he liked it a lot. Bigger and better take on Top Gear 2 with a bit of futuristic racing. A bit of a futuristic racing slant to it. Okay, cool. Maybe I'll try to give it a chance one day. You know I'm not really like a huge Top Gear 2 fan though. Hey, Calamity Guy. He says, I'm a bit late, but if you could relive the heyday of a particular console generation, what would you pick? Oh, man. Oh. Man, I don't know, dude. Like, I mean, because I lived through it all. Like, I was there in the heyday. Maybe it would have been interesting to experience the NES from, like, a slightly older perspective. Like, I was a kid. You know, when I got my NES, I was, like, 6. I think I was, like, 5 or 6 years old when I got my NES. So, you know, I experienced it from a very young age, and so I had a unique perspective. Whereas, like, if I had experienced it for the first time when I was, like, 14, maybe I would have seen it a little bit differently. I don't know. I'm kind of glad I got to experience it when I did, because I feel like if I had experienced video games older, given my parents, you know, affinity with, like, sports and stuff like that, I probably would have been just some dumb jock sports guy. No offense to the dumb jock sports guys out there. And I probably wouldn't have taken video games so seriously if I wasn't exposed to them at such a young age at that particular time. So, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I think it would have been really cool to, say, experience something like the Neo Geo when it was new. Like, I mean, I could have experienced the arcade games, but we didn't really have arcades around here, or not many that I was able to go to. But being able to, like, have and afford an AES console and have that in the home, I wonder what that would have been like. It could have been interesting. Also could have been pretty cool having something like a Sega CD right from the very beginning. Like, I didn't get mine for several years. I was still really impressed with it when I first got it. You know, the PlayStation was already out by that point. We're talking 95 or 96 when I think it was birthday 96 is when I got my Sega CD. So, you know, it was already 4 years old, but it was still really impressive to me. But it would have been cool being able to experience that, like, right away. Yeah, I did see that, Cafe Man, and for anybody that doesn't know, Bernie Stolar passed away. A lot of people like to hate on him, but, you know, he did good things for Sony and Sega. Yeah, rest in peace, dude. He seemed, even to this day, apparently, he was still very, like, sentimental about the Dreamcast, which was really cool to hear. Yeah, he was very passionate about it. Ooh, yeah, Calamity Guy. See, that would have been cool. Experiencing PC gaming in full force as it was evolving during the 90s. I mean, I still got to experience it. I still got to experience the evolution, but not like a lot of people out there did, where they actually had the hardware and they bought the games when they were new, and, you know, they got to experience the evolution, the fast evolution, like, in real time. I had to sort of experience it through friends. So, you know, I got to play Wolfenstein 3D. That blew me away. Then I eventually saw Doom on one of my friends' machines, and that was crazy. And, you know, but I wasn't... By the time I got a computer that could handle stuff like that, we were already into the Quake era. Or I should say my dad got that computer the same year Quake did. And so I still got to experience a big evolution, going from Doom to Quake on that machine, to then like Quake 2 and stuff like that, and then getting my own computers that could run Unreal and 3D acceleration. You know, I got to experience the second half of the 90s firsthand, PC evolution in the 90s firsthand. But the first half of the 90s, like, I had to do it through friends' computers and stuff like that, so I didn't get to see the jumps like the same way a lot of people did by actually having, you know, computers that could run that stuff and upgrading and doing it all firsthand. So yeah, that would be really cool, actually, you know, to live through that era. Yeah, I was there-ish as well, yeah. Very loose-ish. Mernin says, I too am very passionate about the Dreamcast. Crestline asks, what are you playing Alone in the Dark on? Is this console or PC? This is PC. This is the actual MS-DOS version. Oh, I think for this recording, I think I used the version from GOG, but I played it on my Windows 7 machine and went through my analog capture card. So it looks identical to the original DOS game. I think I had to resort to that because running the original game on my Windows 95 machine, it would just like crash a lot of times for no apparent reason. Sometimes I'd be able to go through the whole game stable, and then other times I wouldn't be able to get past the first room. It was really weird. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the DOSBox version, but I'm running it on a spare PC into my old analog capture card. Yeah, sorry, I saw a question from John. He says, do you still play on a CRT? The answer is yes. I actually have 4 CRTs in my apartment. One big boy Trinitron that's 32 inches. One smaller Trinitron with component cable or component inputs. That's 23 inches. And then I have my original Trinitron I got for my birthday in 2002, and this is a 25-incher. That one's actually out in a closet. The first 2 I mentioned are actually here in the game room, and I do use them regularly. And then I have a 17-inch VGA PC CRT monitor, which I use for my retro PCs. Yeah, sorry I missed that one. Yeah, this is the first Alone in the Dark. This is like kind of, you know, the origins of the survival horror genre as we know it. Fixed camera angles and, you know, free-roaming exploration with polygonal character models. Although this has a lot more flexibility than a lot of survival horror would have. You have a lot of different weapons you can use. There's great focus on puzzle elements. You can also use your fists and feet. Hell, even your head. I think you can headbutt in this game. Although it's not very useful. You're better off punching and kicking. So when you run out of ammo, you can do hand-to-hand combat. And hand-to-hand combat is actually preferable in a lot of situations because of punching in particular. You can punch left and then right and then left and right. You can kind of keep enemies stun-locked in a corner. So... yeah, I have a real affinity for this game. I'm not a real survival horror guy, but I love the first Alone in the Dark. When you know what you're doing, you can run through it in about a half an hour. It's not a very long game. You know, it's not like a Resident Evil title where it's still going to take you a couple hours. So, you know, as long as you know the solutions to the various puzzles and whatever, it's a lot of fun. Well, Calamity Guy, to be fair, I've been at this place for 10 years, so, like, and I don't really plan on moving out anytime soon. And even so, a couple of the CRTs they're really light. Like, the 23-inch is easy to move. It's the big boy 32-inch that's hard. That requires, like, a dolly and straps and a second person. The 25-inch is not that... The problem with the 25-inch is just that it's bulky enough to be really inconvenient for one person. So you're still better off having a second person. But it's not that heavy. And then the 17-inch CRT is like... a baby could lift that. Well, maybe not a baby, but you know what I mean. Cafe Man says, out of 10, what is my rating of the new Turtles game? I don't like rating things, Cafe Man. Because it's arbitrary. And if I rate something like a 9 or a 10, someone's gonna be like, dude, it's not that good. So I'm just gonna say it's really awesome, Cafe Man. I highly, highly recommend it. I'm not gonna rate anything with a number. Calamity Guy says, now I use a RetroTink 5X to make my modern flat screen look 20 years old. Yeah, that's the great thing about having CRTs. If I want something to look old, I just play it on the CRT, and it's not a forced old. It looks very natural, because it is natural. It's 100% natural. And then when I want play on a flat screen, I use my FrameMeister and do I always like keeping the settings nice and sharp. I like that emulated look when I'm playing on a flat screen. Maybe I'll mess around with like retro filters on the Tink 5X whenever I get one. Which will happen eventually, but I'm not sure when. There are definitely some things I don't like about my FrameMeister, like the long switches and resolution switching, and the tendency for my capture card to get bugged out when there are resolution switches, and the RetroTink 5X kind of like fixes that. So I'll get one eventually, but it's not high on the priority list just yet. Leo says, are there any big name games coming up in the months ahead that I'm looking forward to? No, none, actually. Literally zero. Elden Ring was like the one I was looking forward to, and even then I wasn't sure if I was going to buy it right away, but, you know, FOMO hit real hard, and I got the urge, so I bought it on, day one. So... Zero says, TMNT is a great game. It just needs another difficulty setting and maybe some more modes, like a survival mode. Yeah. I do feel like they could either do another difficulty or they could just make tweaks to the core game. Like in arcade mode, maybe don't allow the player to constantly charge your super. Like force the player in arcade mode to earn the super. So some small tweaks like that could actually make a big difference in difficulty. Also, maybe nerf, like, in arcade mode, maybe nerf like, you know, the roll or parry or something like that, because apparently it's a little too good. So maybe we'll see some balancing. I don't know. But another solution is like a harder, like higher difficulty level. I haven't played difficulty 3. So I don't know how to compare it to the medium difficulty I was playing on. But maybe either a 4th one would be good, or maybe on just the highest difficulty you know, they make some tweaks that make it harder. I don't know. We'll see. Chivalry asks, have I played Shredder's Revenge? Yes, I streamed it on Friday, guys. Do you guys not watch your subscription feeds? I streamed it for 2 hours last Friday, and it's up for viewing. I think it's like the 3rd time someone's asked if I played that game. I'm like, I streamed it last week. And he asks, they're coming out with Breath of the Wild 2? Yes, they are. Yeah, they announced that years ago. Although I don't think a whole lot has been shown of it still. It's still, yeah, a long ways off, I think. Calamity says, the Tink 5X was a great buy, but I didn't have an upscaler, so it was also an easy buy. Yeah, I totally get that. That's one reason I haven't gotten it yet, is I already have an upscaler. Technically now I have like 3 upscalers, but 2 of them are older Micom Soft scalers that you mainly want to use on a CRT, and that's why I have them. Zero says they say the next From Software game is nearly complete, so we could have it possibly next year. Really? I wonder what kind of From Software game that is. Wonder if it's going to be something like an Armored Core game, or I can't imagine it's a Souls type of game if it's almost complete. Unless it's another Souls kind of game that a side studio was making, or a side team was making. Kind of like with Dark Souls 2, it wasn't the original Dark Souls and Demon Souls team. They were working on that while the original Dark Souls team was doing Bloodborne. Oh, rumors are it's an Armored Core. Possibly in the Souls style. Now that could be interesting. An Armored Core Souls-like. Martin says he'd actually be down for a new Armored Core. Calamity Guy asks, have I played through Eternal Darkness on the GameCube? I have not. And based on all the videos I've seen, I don't think I have any desire to play through it. Apparently it's a chore. Some people absolutely adore that game. Others are like, it's the worst thing ever. So, I'd probably be in the latter camp. I find survival horror like that to be kind of not really my cup of tea. I forced myself through Silent Hills 1 and 3 last October, and I hated every moment of it. I hated every waking minute. So I don't think I'll ever get to Eternal Darkness. Leo says that he's so far removed from AAA gaming at this point that he sees what apparently are big name releases at places like Eurogamer and don't even recognize the names. Leo says, thankfully, Nintendo still manages to excite him from time to time, at least. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with a lot of modern gaming. There's a lot of stuff that looks cool, but I just don't have the time or the interest. You kind of need a little bit of both. It's a lot, you know, kind of going back to, I think it was a question by Girl Geek earlier. It's like, it is a lot harder when you're running a YouTube channel like this. Especially if you want to be constant with your uploads. If you want to upload weekly and you want to also stream on a weekly basis, kind of like I do, then it's like, it eats up so much of your time, your gaming time, that you can't even focus on a lot of modern stuff, even if you wanted to. And then when you've when you've built up your following based around retro as well, like I have, even when you try to play something modern, say on stream, like when I go and I play Elden Ring on Twitch, like no one wants to watch because that's not what they signed up for, basically. And I get it. So even trying to, like, in my position, trying to play modern games it's easier said than done, unfortunately, without having to sacrifice something. I'd have to sacrifice, you know, making a lot of videos for you guys and streaming and uploading as regularly as I do, and I don't want to make that sacrifice. I'd rather keep playing retro for you guys rather than focus on, you know, a lot of modern games. Which I might enjoy some of those modern games quite a bit, but I don't know. It feels like too much of a sacrifice right now. Jeffrey says he enjoyed Eternal Darkness quite a bit back in the day. Zero says the Dark Souls 3 stream recently was super comfy. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed doing that. That was one of those where like, okay, we have almost nobody watching, but I'm still going to do this anyway because I wanted to. And we ended up with some like really good victories on that stream. Like I beat some bosses a lot easier than I had expected to, which is always a good feeling on Dark Souls 3, because Dark Souls 3 has some of the toughest bosses in the series. Calamity Guy says he's owned Eternal Darkness for 10 years, but hasn't gotten around to finishing it. Leo says he has Eternal Darkness in his backlog. I hope it's a lot better than those classic Silent Hill games that Austin streamed, which Leo also owns, but now wants to dump since he lost all desire to ever play them. I'm sorry, Leo. Maybe I'm not sorry. Maybe it's for the better. Maybe you dodged a bullet or two, and now you can just, like, reap the rewards, because those are, like, $100 and up games now. You know, make that money off those old Silent Hills while you still can. When am I gonna play GoldenEye 64 with my brother again? Probably not anytime soon. My brother's got a lot of his own stuff going on. It's kind of hard to get him to even try to come over here and stream with me, so I'd even say probably never. I think the next time you see GoldenEye on this channel, it'll be me having actually, like, learned it myself. Because I do want to. I do have fun playing the single player on that game. Honestly, I probably won't have Brandon over for a while unless he, like, reaches out and asks me. I'm not going to reach out and just kind of be like, yo, man, we just need to stream just because. It's got to have purpose, and he's got to be motivated to do it as well. Like, I think our last Resident Evil stream, he wasn't really feeling it. I could kind of tell. He wasn't really talking much, and I was also hungover, which didn't help. I think people still enjoyed the stream because they, you know, some people just like watching playthroughs even when there's not much commentary, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. If he reaches out to me and says, hey, I want to do a stream with you on this and that, and then I'll be like, okay, cool. We'll do it, but like I said, he's also got a lot of his own stuff going on, and I don't want to, like, pressure him. Calamity says, I'd love to see more Master System stuff from me sometime. I like to live vicariously through streamers I like and ask them to finish games I haven't. Well, we did a Master System stream just a few weeks ago, Calamity. I don't know if you were there. I don't remember. And then we also did a Game Gear stream like the week after, which is basically Master System with an asterisk. So yeah, I'll probably do more Master System stuff, but it might be a little while because I've done kind of a lot recently. But we'll see. I mean, I think what I'd like to do with Master System is actually learn some games like Wonder Boy 3: The Dragon's Trap. You know, more like action-adventure games like that that are a little bit longer, and then do YouTube streams, dedicated YouTube streams of them. That would be cool. Oh, we finally got the porn bots. So, I'm gonna try something new here. Unfortunately, I don't know if this is gonna work, because I can't even... So someone gave me a really good idea where, you know, I'm going to actually try something else. Let me go to my public page. Ah, Double Austin! Nope, still not working. Let me... Whoops! And double whoops too. Let me... Wow, it's really broken. So basically, you can a trick is to just take the emojis they use and then put those in YouTube's like blocked filter list. But the problem is, I can't get the stupid descriptions of them. They're like hard to read. Okay, so one of them is love letter. I'm gonna block that. So I've actually got a tab open right now. I was actually expecting this to happen. Revolving hearts is another. Okay. Revolving hearts. Hot face is another. And we'll see if this works. Hot face kiss. Zany face. Oh, I don't miss that one. One of our old viewers would use that stupid freaking face all the time, and it drove me nuts. Not all viewers are sunshine and rainbows when it comes to streaming. Smiling face with hearts. God, this is so time consuming. Just trying to like figure this out. Alright, well let's go ahead and save that and see what happens. Oh, and there's always the check mark, so check mark button. Alright. Okay, there's another one. Damn it, and of course they use the thumbs up button, which I hate, because that's a very common one that I use in a lot of people's streams. Yeah, and unfortunately you can't just like copy and paste. Oh, you can. For anybody wondering, I'll actually kind of show you the filter that's in place. Well, actually, you know what? I'm not going to. It's got a lot of curse words in it. So maybe I won't actually show that off. It is interesting doing like behind the scenes stuff, but yeah, showing off a bunch of like different ways to spell curse words is probably not good. One actually thing I like about no longer embedding my stream chat in the video itself is like all these porn bots that come in, they'd be embedded into my stream forever. And by not having chat capture anymore, my videos are kind of like safe for just general viewing across like, you know, the rest of YouTube, which is nice. It also kind of de-incentivizes really, really annoying people from just typing the most random garbage. I really felt like, you know, having the stream embed chat was also trying to, it was like getting people to, you know, basically some people will try to get attention, you know, they become attention whores, unfortunately. Okay, let's go ahead and save that. I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to go ahead and report the bots anyway. And we'll see if this filter works in the future. Cafe Man asks, did you ever stream Pitfall on Sega CD? Yeah, I've streamed it a bunch of times. GameCube Pitfall? No, I've never actually played GameCube Pitfall. Someone actually asked about GameCube Pitfall earlier, yeah, and I've just I've never played it. So, all right, that was the ending. Milo switched seats. Yeah, Mernon. I mean, there are some emojis some people actually like to use. I've never seen anybody use love letter or anything like that, so I don't think that's a problem. But like the thumbs up, I hope they don't start coming in here with just the thumbs up icon. But I don't even know if the filter's gonna work. It was just an idea someone gave me. Another YouTuber I follow, you know, they're a much bigger channel, so they get a lot of bots and like their normal comments. And they showed that taking the emoji and just popping it into the blocked words list actually works. So live stream of Flink win. You've seen my gameplay no talk version, had to fill in the curse words himself. God, probably never, Calamity Guy. I really don't want to revisit that game again. I actually fired it up, I think, on the Mr. Core a couple months ago, and I was just like, God, I hate this game. It's so ridiculously difficult. It's just so dumb. It's unbelievably dumb. You know what sucks about it is that it starts off okay as like a simple platformer, but then they decided to go the whole like puzzle platformer route. You gotta solve some basic puzzles and you know, revisit old areas you've been to, and it's just, and you have to do it all in one sitting too. It's not like Mario World where it saves your progress. It's like a 2-hour-long game if you know what you're doing, and you have to, and you get limited continues. It's just all sorts of stupid design choices, like really bring it down. All right, this will be an interesting one for some of you guys. Although we might actually have to actually switch games shortly, because I think the game audio was actually broken for me. So there's no in-game music. There's supposed to be in-game music, but there was not when I was playing, when I was doing this recording, so you might get a little quiet. Trevor says, I signed up just for the bots. Leo says he thinks I'm being targeted specifically. Yeah, I don't know, maybe. It's possible. But then again, I mean, other people have been in here, Leo, and they say they have seen it elsewhere, so... it could also be that other streamers might be using other, like, filter applications. Maybe, like, maybe I can enable something like the Streamlabs bot or something like that. Maybe that'll help with other bots. It's something I've actually considered. Just my thing is, I don't like giving external applications like access to my YouTube channel. That's the only thing. My Twitch channel is one thing, and I just use Twitch's official bot on Twitch, so that's one thing.
Could it be this one? Perhaps it's this one. Thanks. I think she loves me.
It is Stonekeep Atrocity, yeah. Same here, Trevor. I always love that Interplay intro screen. It's great. Calamity Guy, have I messed around with a PSX core on Mister? I have. Yeah, no, it's pretty good. I'm really impressed with it. You guys will see it more and more here on YouTube, for sure. Yeah, Flink is a gorgeous game, just not so much fun to play. I totally agree. Leo says, I see Sega and M2 finally edited the Ferrari in the Genesis port of Outrun. To where, Leo? To what port of Genesis Outrun? Mernon says, GameCube Pitfall is actually pretty fun. Yeah, I mean, that's the same Pitfall that came out on, like, PlayStation 2 and Xbox, right? It's Beyond the Jungle, I think is what it's called. Oh, wait, no, Beyond the Jungle is, freaking the PlayStation 1 game. Let's see. Yeah, Pitfall 3D is Behind the Jungle. Pitfall GameCube is The Lost... something. The Lost Expedition. That's it. Okay. Yeah, PS2, Xbox, GameCube, and Windows. And that's the extent of the music, because my music broke when I recorded this. Atrocity says he played this game as a kid. He never got very far, but it was very impressive to him back then. It's definitely a good-looking game. Oh, they announced it for the Mega Drive Mini 2 in Japan and showed off some footage. Oh, cool. Looks a lot like the Ferrari and versions like the Switch Ages port, redone in 16-bit. Very cool. That's good. That's well, I'm glad Outrun's going to be on it. Oh yeah, I agree too, Jeffrey. Having them edit the F-14 to really re-release Afterburner, that would be great. Leo says the Tomcat is intact for Afterburner 2 for the Mega Drive Mini 2. It was also announced. Oh, well, there you go. Leo's 3 steps ahead of us, Jeffrey.
Beware, cool.
Yeah, Atrocity. The music of this game's pretty good. I liked it. Even for just an ad-lib soundtrack, it was...
Leading down.
Yeah, so I actually started playing this earlier this year, and just because I had my Windows 95 machine out, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, but it's your typical dungeon crawler where, like, it's super easy to get lost, and there's a lot of trial and error. And one of the problems with this is, like, for the first few floors, at the very least, never got past that, everything looks the same. So you have to rely on your auto map, which is a little tedious. And by a little tedious, I mean very tedious. Alright, later, Trevor. Yeah, have a good night. Sleep well. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it.
Cool Comb, do not gloat so soon. My champion will defeat you.
Yeah, Leo, I did see the replica analog flight stick. Yeah, that'll be interesting. It's a shame, though. Galaxy Force 2 isn't really... I don't remember it being all that great on Genesis, but... I don't know, I'll have to revisit that sometime. Calamity Guy asks, have I played the retro-bit version of Wily Wars? Cleaned up a lot of the lag. I have not. And I think that's the same one that's on the Genesis Mini. I never really messed around with it much, no. Atrocity says he thinks this is the only first-person dungeon crawler he's ever played now that he thinks of it. He knows there's a lot of them, but of course he never really got into the genre. Yeah, I don't blame you. It's definitely an acquired taste. I've only played a few over the course of my life. And funny enough, the one I enjoyed playing the most was on the Tapwave Zodiac of all platforms. Mainly because, like, it was fast to play. This is impressive looking, but it's also a little slow in plotting. The old dungeon crawlers back in the day, you would kind of move in like a tiled kind of system, and they were very much like slideshowy, where you'd click up to move forward and you'd instantly be in like the next block. And so you can actually quickly tap your way through like the dungeons, whereas this you have to wait. There's no run key, there's no nothing like that. So exploring the dungeon takes time, especially once you've, you know, uncovered it for the most part and you need to backtrack. That's where it starts to get really tedious. Zero asks, have I played Kingsfield? I have, but not much. I played Kingsfield 1 and 2, the US versions, and then I played Part 4 on PS2 a couple of years ago. I did a blind stream on that. I did not have a good time with that. And then I've played a little bit of Shadow Tower, not a whole lot. And then I've played a lot of Eternal Ring on PS2, which is like a spin-off. But Kingsfield 1 and 2 in the US, I've always wanted to try to go back and get into those. And then Shadow Tower, I've heard, is actually pretty solid. Yeah. My big thing with Kingsfield 4.0 was that it was so slow. It was unbearably slow. The older PlayStation Kingsfield games actually move a lot faster, which is weird. You'd think it would have been the opposite. So I feel like I might actually be able to get into the PlayStation originals, but Kingsfield 4 was just painful for me. I did not have a good time with that. Leo says the version of Mega Man Collection on the Genesis Mini felt a lot better than the old ROM. Yeah, that's what I'm guessing, Leo. Yeah, I'm betting they're basically the same ROM. I can't imagine two separate teams worked to fix the slowdown on one game. Has that ROM been extracted, by the way? Like, can I... I'm sure it has. If the Genesis Mini's been hacked, then of course the ROM's been extracted. And of course the retro bit cart's probably been dumped. I'm trying to think, if I play that game again, do I want to play that or the slowdown version? Just, you know, for faithfulness. It's on my Mega SG right now, right on. Well, I was wondering if it was on my Mister. I have to think. Oh man, how long have we been streaming? Oh man, almost 3 hours already. Whew! Time flies when you're not playing games. Time flies when you're just talking and having your old past tense self play games for you. It's been a small turnout tonight, which wasn't unexpected. But it's been a fun night so far. We've had a lot of good conversation and, you know, fun topics and stuff like that. Well, yeah. Yeah, Stonekeep is it's kind of interesting. No, Calamity Guy. The Genesis Mini version, they fixed the slowdown. That was one of the big deals about Wily Wars on the Genesis Mini. Is that M2 went in and fixed the slowdown. Yeah, I remember that being a big deal when the Genesis Mini released. We got a sleepy Milo. 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 Wow, he's actually trying to sleep for a change. This guy is like a little crackhead. He's such a little crackhead. He's got, as you saw earlier, he's got so much energy when he's wide awake. Oh, man. Let's see. What can I torture you guys with? Fight for life on the Jaguar? Let's see. So many games, so little time. Yeah, he is a sweet kitty. He's very very friendly. but he also is also a little crackhead. I mean that lovingly. No, it's all good, Calamity Guy. Leo says, I hope the new games on the Mini 2 similarly get dumped, like the M2 port of Fantasy Zone. Yeah, I hope so too. Zero says also that version of Tetris on the Genesis Mini is pretty good. Yeah, Tom, I mean, the Genesis Mini's okay. It's, I mean, it's got a good lineup, but really you're better off with something like a Mega SG or some other device that does Genesis emulation. One of the problems with the Genesis Mini is that even if you hack it, it's got very limited space internally, so it's hard to actually get, like, the entire library loaded up. So you're kind of limited in one way or another. I also found my 8-bit DOE wireless controller for the Genesis Mini to be very fickle. Like, its connection would randomly, like, drop inputs, which was kind of a bummer. Whereas I don't have that problem with the Mega SG version, so I'm thinking it's maybe like a Genesis Mini operating system kind of thing. Yep, Zero, this is Dragon Force. Yep. Can't remember if I was doing this through my FrameMeister or if I was doing this through my old RGB capture card. I think it's through the FrameMeister, so there's probably going to be signal drops and stuff like that. I don't know, we'll see. Leo says, especially since we don't even have a Western release confirmed yet for the Mini 2. Yeah. I don't know if I'll buy the Mini 2 if it's only in Japan. If it comes out over here, then maybe. I don't know, I just recently sold my Mini 1 when I needed money. I think I got like 80 bucks for it. I had it hacked already, and so the guy that got it was pretty happy with it. He doesn't have a Mister or flash carts or anything like that, so... Yeah, we'll see, Leo. I mean, it could very well, like the Game Gear Minis, could just be Japanese only. You know, they never released those minis stateside, which... Honestly, I feel like a Sega Game Gear Mini could be somewhat viable, because it sold, like... It sold millions of units in North America, so there's... People remember it. If they release it as, like, a cheap little gag gift or something, like, I don't know. Could be viable for a small run at the very least. Calamity says he sold all his analog hardware for a Mister. Yeah, that's actually how I funded my Mister, but I really like the analog hardware, so I've been trying to slowly get them back. So, a few months back I got a Mega SG. I would have bought a Super NT, but they're out of stock still, so whenever they come back in stock, I'll buy one. It's just really good for streaming, it's easy, I can bring it into another room, it's easier to hook up than a Mister. Get to use all my OG hardware and controllers and stuff like that with ease. No adapters or anything like that. So, it's really convenient from a streaming perspective as well. I mean, at the time, I wouldn't have sold my analog hardware, but really, the only way for me to get a Mister was to do that. Like, I did it because it was the only choice. If I wanted a Mister when I got it, so... Oh, geez. Atrocity says, any hopes or plans for another FM Town stream? No, Atrocity, because I don't have a way of playing FM Town stuff now. The FM Town's Marty that a friend had loaned me, he wanted it back earlier this year, so I have no way of streaming it now. And as far as I'm aware, there's not a FM Town's core on the Mister. And I've got so much other stuff going on, I'm not going to mess around with software emulation. So yeah, unfortunately no, Atrocity. One of these years, if I ever get another FM Town's Marty, I would absolutely love to stream it more often. But yeah, you probably won't be able to see any of that here for a long time, unfortunately. Mister is so easy to use, you hardly bust out the OG consoles now. Yeah, I can sort of see that. For me, it's not as easy as people say. I mean, like, I've got a bunch of different controllers I like to use, and a lot of times I have to reconfigure my controller settings. Like, you know, if I have a PlayStation Classic controller and I use a Sega Saturn controller, a lot of times I have to remap my buttons and all that stuff, and yeah, there's the no signal drop. So it's not as convenient as I think a lot of people make it out to be, unless you just literally stick with one control setup. But I like to bounce around. I like to use different arcade sticks. It just all depends on the core and what I'm playing. And then I still get a lot of like signal drops on resolution switches and stuff like that. Whereas I get none of that when I'm using the analog consoles, and so it's really great for streaming. The analog consoles are really great for streaming. 0 signal drops. If I get a single signal drop, it like really screws with my capture card. Like the audio can potentially just break completely, and I have to refresh the whole thing, and it's a pain in the ass. And then also with the Mister, you know, when you're bouncing from core to core, sometimes it screws with the other cores that you try to load into, and the cores become buggy, and you have to power cycle the whole thing. There are lots of downsides to the Mister, and in a lot of cases, people don't experience them for one reason or another, because like maybe they don't use it that much, or you know, maybe they're not streaming like I am. So you know, it's a great device. I definitely implore people to invest in one, because it's you know, there's so many different consoles that are really expensive to acquire that you can play on it. But I think original hardware still has value, you know, when paired with flashcards or the FPGA modern systems like the AVS and the analog systems. Don't even get me started on trying to load all the ISOs and stuff like that onto the Mister. That was a bitch and a half to get even the cores to recognize the location of the like BIOS files and stuff like that. Like, not all that stuff is just done for you right away out of the box with like an update all script or something like that. It's got, you're gonna run into some hitches with the Mister. Like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows and kitties and whatever. But with something like the Analog Mega SG, I just run it right into my actual Sega CD. I've got the SD card with all the cartridge ROMs on it. I use the same interface for both the Sega CD and the Genesis portion, and I just use my CDRs. I don't even have to worry about transferring ISOs over, you know. So I mean, they all have their, you know, benefits and their pros and cons. So yeah. All right, Jeffrey, have a good night, sir. Thanks for hanging out. Well, I mean, Calamity Guy, like, oh, well, that's actually a good point. Maybe you wouldn't have bought the cartridge if the Genesis Mini was the no slowdown version you're talking about. I get it from that perspective, but, I mean, if you really wanted, like, the physical package, there's nothing wrong with investing in that. Trust me, there's been some times where, like, I've come close to purchasing some of these reproductions, these official reproductions, just because, you know, nostalgia and whatever. But I've been really good about holding off and not really investing in them. Oh man, I am getting so hungry again. It's only been a few hours since I last ate, but I didn't have a lot to eat. Man, I got food on the mind, guys. Nearing the 3-hour mark. It's 2 hours and 48. I mean, Atrocity, it really can replace all your hardware. I mean, that's a fact. But my point is like, it's not... It's not something you could just fire up and just everything works perfectly. There is a little bit of tinkering no matter what kind of setup you get. Even if you get like a pre-built one that's pre-configured, you will have to mess around with it. So I do think it absolutely can replace all your hardware for the cores that are there for the most part. But there are some instances where, for me, with my setup, it's more convenient to just bring out my original hardware or like another FPGA solution. And for one reason or another, there's a lot of like little subtle reasons. I've already touched on some, but there are some others, you know. Convenience is a big thing for me, especially as a streamer. I want to be able to bring stuff out really quickly. And I can do that with some of my hardware in my current setup. You know, I grab the console off the shelf. The shelf you can actually see here. You know, back there, I bring a console off, and I've got the cables, like, right there. You know, I've got an HDMI cable that runs straight into my capture card. I just swap it over to, you know, whatever I needed to, and then I'm good to go. I've already, you know, had already previously invested in flash cards for everything, so, like, my Turbo Duo up there, I've already got a Turbo EverDrive, and my AVS console, it's already got a power pack in it. Super Nintendo's already got a Super EverDrive. My Genesis already has multiple EverDrives. So it's like, sometimes it's easier just to bring that off the shelf and then just bring the original controllers out. I don't have to remap controller buttons or anything like that. And so it actually, ironically, in some cases, is a lot faster to just use some of the original hardware I have, or the other FPGA solutions. The other FPGA solutions are the most convenient, like the AVS and the Mega SG. It's, you know, because they are HDMI out of the box, I don't have to go through my upscaler. I just plug my HDMI cable from my capture card into them, and then they just use like generic, you know, like Android based, not Android based, but like, you know, the USB type connection that you see in like Android devices, and that's it. So it's not like I have to worry about where like my unique power cables are. Calamity says he loves his AVS. Yes, me too, man. So yeah, trust me. I mean, no, it'll never replace everything, because the Mister is only so powerful. Like, it's capable of replicating the PlayStation and is doing a fantastic job of it. It's looking like Sega Saturn's going to become reality. We might even get a great Jaguar core in the future, in the near future. Past that, you're still going to need your Nintendo 64. You're still going to need your Dreamcast. You know, stuff like that. But everything prior to what I just named will be replicated at some point in time. I guarantee it. Maybe 3DO might not happen. There's a whole software layer on the 3DO that I think it's probably going to be harder to replicate. But I don't know. I'm not one of those. I'm not a core designer or a programmer or anything like that. So, but I mean, 32X is amazing right now, and I mean, it's good stuff. we're not talking like, you know, buggy software emulation for the most part. Like the Mister is really, really damn good right now with, you know, the cores it has. So, hey, Agostino. Agostino says, congrats on your stream number 400. I hope to see number 4,000 in the future. I'll probably be dead by that point, but maybe we'll get to 3,000. And then all the arcade cores on the Mister too, man. I mean, the arcade cores are so good. That is like the way to play those arcade games. And what's great about the Mister is when you route out via analog to a CRT, it displays at the exact same timing that the original consoles would have. So it's, I mean, it's fantastic. And if you want to save a lot of money not having to buy real hardware that's constantly going up in price, like a Sega CD Model 2. There was a guy on Atari Age that sold a Sega CD Model 2 box. Granted, it had the box, that raises the price, but it was like $350. And he sold it. The Mister, while it's gone up in price a lot, it'll pay for that one Sega CD if you don't have one already. And the core is very, very, very good. That's one system. So, like, the value is absolutely there. It's absolutely there. And I can totally see people, like, buying the device and then downsizing their collections. But I don't think people are really doing that, given that prices are still as high as they are. But, yeah. And Leo says that stream number 4,000 will probably have to end by 8 p.m. since we'll all be old men. Yeah. Leo said someone listed Nintendo 64 carts at Atari Age. He couldn't believe the prices, especially when several were in rough shape. Yeah, the market is just bonkers right now. And I bet you they'll sell. Calamity says he bought the Mega EverDrive Pro because of Sega CD prices, worth every penny. Yeah, I had thought about that device, but the fact is I have well, knock on wood, I have a good functioning Sega CD Model 2, and I've already got like a big stack of CDRs. I've got just about everything, almost everything I'd ever want to play already burned, so that's my way of playing Sega CD on real hardware. But yeah, the Mega EverDrive Pro is really cool because you can just use the Genesis without the Sega CD. Of course, if you already have a Mister, then it's redundant. It kind of surprises me, Atrocity, because so many people crapped on the Sega CD that I'm surprised that, you know, people have started caring about it. Which I'm glad people have started caring about it, because it's a good add-on. But then again, 32X is going up in price too, for the box console. So, I don't know, that right there could just be the fact of, you know, collectors wanting to collect. Because that's another library that doesn't get too much praise, that's for sure. Or maybe it's just Sega fans. Sega fans have started to realize they actually want these things for the collection. I don't know. Could be a variety of factors, too. Yeah, and you guys are telling me, like, I've got a decent boxed Model 2, but I really want a boxed Model 1. And, yeah, man, those things are stupid money. Yeah, I really want one, but, ugh. Atrocity, no. I actually have very low quality CDRs for the Sega CD. The Model 2, at least. Model 1 may be a different story, but it's never had any issues. If you're gonna do CDRs, though, I always implore you to use Taiyo Yudins regardless. They are much higher quality discs, and for one, I think they'll last you a lot longer. And then they'll read easier than the lower quality discs. So you can buy brand new in box Taiyo Yudins. They're a little more expensive, but I think it's worth it. So if you plan on burning a lot of discs, then I would just I would do it right from the start and don't even experiment with cheaper discs. But that said, my cheaper discs I burned like 10 years ago. They work fine on my Sega CD. So yeah, Agosino backs that up. He says, yep, Model 2 Sega CD is quite good with CDRs. Nice. So, just for a little bit of perspective, I have some consoles that would not read anything but the Taiyo Yudins. My Dreamcast is one. My CDI is another. And my Duo wouldn't read anything on cheap media. But it would read some of the Taiyo Yudin discs I have. However, my Duo is a special case scenario. I need to adjust the potentiometers on the inside because it only consistently likes original media. It doesn't, ever since I got the disk drive fixed and the caps replaced, it has not liked CDRs very much in general. Agosino says 1X CD drives end up living longer if they're any good due to less vibration. Interesting. I didn't even think about that. That's cool. Atrocity, it's and so there's actually Taiyo Yudin sold off the technology to another company. CMC or CNC. But it's basically like the same kind of quality. So here's a 100-pack for $35. Let's see if there's an easy way to share on Amazon. I want to share it with people. Why is sharing items on Amazon so difficult? Basically, I want a shortened link because the link's not going to fit on my YouTube comments or my YouTube chat because there's a 200 character limit. Maybe I can just do that. Let's see. Oh, I can manually shorten the link. Okay, so here, I'll link it to you. $35 for a 100-pack. That's what I would buy if you're planning on burning a lot of stuff, especially if you're going to use it for game consoles. If you're just going to burn like music CDs, don't use these discs. That's overkill. You can use cheap media for music, but if you're going to use something that these old consoles are going to read from, you want like high quality discs. Calamity, so it's actually interesting. A lot of modern CD burners, they only burn at like 16x as a minimum. Even if your software allows you to burn at a lower speed, they're not actually burning at that lower speed. They're still burning at 16x. I learned that lesson. So if you want to burn CDs at like 1x, like we did back in the day, you need an actually old drive, which are kind of hard to come by these days. Alright, later Zero, take care. Congrats on 400. Here's the 400 more. Hell yeah. Thank you very much. Have a good night. But yeah, so I basically burned all my recent CDRs with a modern CD burner, which is basically 16x minimum. And with the Taiyo Yudins, even like they worked fine on my CDI and my Dreamcast, which my Dreamcasts have always been a little fickle with reading discs to begin with. You can have perfect looking discs and sometimes the Dreamcast just will not like it. I had some random games that just would not work on my Dreamcast, like a perfectly good Tony Hawk that worked on my friend's console, but not mine. My Dreamcast in particular did not like the cheap CDRs at all. But then once I went with the Taiyo Yudin, it read every single one except for one. And that was it. And I think a reburn actually fixed it. Speaking of which, I need to go download some more Dreamcast ISOs so we can do more Dreamcast streams. I actually had a GDEMU for a bit, but it just was not reliable for me, so I got rid of it and went the CDR route again. I kind of regressed, but it was for the better. Oh yeah, Calamity Guy. That's what I've heard about duos. I actually bought a old CDR drive that I think will do 1x, but I have to install it in an older PC, and it's a long story, but I haven't gotten around to it. But I'd like to. I'd like to use my original Duo because it's RGB modded and I can run it into my FrameMeister and it looks really nice. Yeah, Leo, let me know how that Mega Man turns out. Do let me know. Milo. Well, this looks terrible, but we're gonna let this play in the background anyway. So Atrocity, I don't know, have you ever had the capacitors replaced in your Duo? That's also a big part of it, too. And if you haven't had that done, there's gonna be weirdness, all sorts of weirdness. Calamity Guy says he gave up dicking around with his Duo R in favor of the Mister. Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, I do not blame you one bit. That's why I'm actually looking forward to Analog's Duo system. Which there's still no information on, like, a release date. They've been teasing it for well over a year now. So, maybe even longer, jeez. I think this footage actually came directly from my Let's Play of this game. This is back when I was doing Let's Plays that were more like my current quick plays, where it was very simple editing, and basically no editing. And my voice track was recorded separately. It still is recorded separately, but now I do, for my proper edited Let's Plays, I have a camera, and I record the camera with the footage in the same file. So I can't just, like, post that on my Gameplay No Talk channel, because there'd be no actual voice recorded. And the point of my side channel is gameplay without talk. Basically just, like, straight gameplay along with long plays. Oh, so your duo's already been serviced. It's already interesting. Yeah, it could just be like disc weirdness. Maybe your copy of Super Raiden is just got an issue, which that happens. You could have flawless looking discs and they just won't work. I've experienced several of those over the years. So... Or even if that disc works fine in another console, maybe just there's some weirdness with your console, and that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. I mean, like I mentioned with my Tony Hawk on Dreamcast, the disc was flawless, worked fine in other people's systems, but it just didn't work in mine. And it was like one of the few games that would do that. So, you know, it just is what it is. I'd like to play through this again sometime soon. It's been a while. I don't know, I gotta think of other Castlevania games that I haven't played through recently. Or ever. Like, I'd like to try to finally do the MSX version. Get back to practicing that and learning that. We'll do that on the Wii U. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of other ones. I need to get back to trying to relearn the DS Castlevania games. Try to do streams of those. Hey, Retro Simon, welcome back. Good to see you. Yeah, so Atrocity, the whole music cutting out, that's a capacitor issue. It's like, I want, like, you might have had people actually look at them, but did they just say, like, all your caps are fine? Or did you have them replace everything? Because caps can still, like, even if they're not visibly leaking, like, they can still go bad, and start to cause issues, so... But I mean, that's such a signature problem with duos specifically, where when caps are going bad, music starts cutting out. It's such a signature problem. So... Calamity Guy's been playing Castlevania Chronicles on original mode. It's a major ball buster. Yes, it's a hardcore memorizer. You memorize or die. I mean, you still have to play well too, but... definitely memorize. Oh, nice. Agostino says he just bought a Saturn Twin Stick. Hopefully he'll be able to put it to good use with the Mayflash USB adapter and Mister. That could be interesting. So could you could theoretically with like the Mister use it on twin stick shooters. and not just, well, not just Virtual On your Saturn. Was there, you might know this, Agostino, because I never really thought about it until now, but did any other games use the twin sticks on Saturn besides Virtual On? And could you potentially use the twin sticks just with other random games? Like, would it actually be useful in certain games? I don't know. I never really thought about it until now. Everything should have been replaced. It was a duo that was modded before you got it. Everything should have been good to go. See, that's the other thing, Atrocity, is I don't know who modded your console. There are people out there that don't know what they're doing compared to others, and so I don't know who you got it from. I don't know if it was like a reputable modder. That is something else to consider. What are the, okay, so Agostino says just 3 other games on the Saturn. Okay, see you, Calamity Guy. Have a good night, man. Thanks for hanging out. What are those other 3 games? And, like I was asking, do you know if it'll just randomly work with other games? Like, obviously 3 officially supported games, but I mean, like, kind of like, oh man, kind of like what I was doing on the NES. Last year, where I was trying to play a game, like an NES game with like a racing controller. So obviously the game wasn't designed with that controller in mind, but it still technically functioned. You know, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, are there any games that will recognize the Virtua Stick as like left stick as a D-pad and like right stick as like the shoulder keys and A and B or something like that? I guess that's what I mean. Like, I'm trying to think, like, would it be interesting for me to experiment with different games on the Saturn when it's... Yeah. Gun Griffin 2, Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 2, Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story, of course. Wow. Retro Simon says, yeah, there's this YouTube channel that fixes bad mods. Don't remember the name. You're probably talking about Voltar. He's one of, like, the big ones that does, console repairs on YouTube. But yeah, like, I mean, you can buy pre-modded consoles on eBay and stuff like that, but unless you know the history of the seller and the modder, it's like, you could be getting garbage modding, unfortunately. Agostino says, as far as he knows, no other games on the Saturn will recognize the twin stick properly. He thinks that's more the way Sega handled controller drivers on the Saturn. Okay. That makes more sense. If I had one of those, you could bet your ass I would still try, though. I mean, now I have a satiator in basically like any game I'd ever want to play. Like, I've got the means to do it. We gotta do some Saturn stuff soon, too. I enjoyed your Wolf 3D streams, especially episode 2 with the mutants. Yeah, I probably raged hard on that. Oh, man. Leo, I don't think so. I don't think there was ever anything past episode 1. Unless someone's, like, hacked in the other episodes. I'm not sure how it's set up or what it takes to do something like that, to convert those episodes and maps. Yeah, let me know, Agostino. Let me know. That could be fun. I still need to get the Wingman for the Dreamcast and Saturn controllers. Dreamcast I'm actually not that worried about. I already have an ASCII pad for Dreamcast. very good controller for like shoot 'em ups and fighting games. Well, then again, no, part of the reason I would get one is actually to use modern arcade sticks. I totally forgot about that. So I guess I would still technically want that. But I don't need it as a replacement for like the Dreamcast analog stick or something like that. It's mainly just for like shoot 'em ups and fighting games. Sadly, there's very few Dreamcast games that are like strictly 2D. Like games that play on a two-dimensional plane and that's it. Way more of those on Saturn. Retro Simon says Bulk Slash has a twin stick patch apparently. Yeah, I think you're right about that. I totally forgot about that. I tried playing Bulk Slash earlier this year. It seemed like a pretty fun game. But I don't know it that well, so, you know, I'm in the very early stages of figuring it out. Yeah, so this run of Dracula X is actually, it's a true final boss run, so you have to find all the maidens, and then when you get to Dracula, there's going to be a third form. A pretty difficult form. So... Leo asks, any interested in Retrobit's new licensed Genesis controller? It's a 6-button Genesis pad and the original 3-button shell. Leo, so those controllers actually came out back in the day. They weren't nearly as common, but they did exist in a couple different forms. I don't know if I really have much interest in it right now. Maybe it'll be like an impulse buy one day, but... I mean, I like the original 6-button controller. Maybe the fatter one that's going to come out will be a little bit better for my knees, because my thumbs have gotten a lot bigger over the years. Like, I'm not 14 anymore. My thumbs back in the day were, like, really thin. You know, I was a really thin kid in high school. Which was honestly kind of ironic, because I was very chubby in elementary school and middle school, and then in high school I thinned right up. And that went with my fingers too. My fingers were like... My fingers are actually still somewhat thin, but my thumbs have gotten much bigger. So I don't know. I'm just kind of like rambling at this point. I don't know. We'll see, Leo. I don't really have a need for it because I've got a bunch of 3-button controllers and I have a bunch of regular 6 buttons too, so it's like... I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, no problem, Atrocity. Best of luck with your duo. And, sleep well. Got him. Speaking of Bulk Slash, Aquas is running it at SGDQ 2022 later today. 4:10 a.m. Central Time. Oh man. Well guys, it has been a while. 3.5 hours of just kind of chilling and talking. Unless you guys have any last minute questions or topics, I think I'm going to get out of here. So I guess let's give it a couple minutes, see if anybody chimes in with anything else they want me to talk about. Let's see if we can keep this stream going a little bit longer. Or not. Maybe we'll just get out of here. Yeah, I'll give it a couple minutes, see what you guys have to say, if anything. Yeah, I kind of wish I got to do this stream a little bit earlier, but like I said earlier today, I had a friend, well, technically I reached out to my friend, but we ended up going out to round one, and we ended up spending like several hours there and coming home a little bit later than expected, and what I'm going to try to do in the future is I'm going to try to get some of these streams like scheduled in advance and like have a, you know, give you guys a better heads up about these streams, because I haven't been able to do that lately. And it basically means that even if I have a good stream idea like this, there's a lot of people that would love to participate in a Q&A. Is, you know, they don't know until I start. And a lot of times, like tonight, I started really late, like 10:30 at night. And I'm sure a lot of people are in bed by then because tomorrow's a work day, and others are in other parts of the world that are, you know, not lining up with my hours, and it's just late in general. So, yeah, it's not great for, you know, for the viewers that would like to participate but can't. So, yeah, when I have like future stream ideas, I'll try my best to schedule them in advance so you guys know like when they're happening. Yeah. Crestline says, "What's an obscure DOS game you enjoy, but most would never know about?" There were a couple of like dumb shareware or freeware DOS games back in the day. One was called Spaced, which I actually did on my MS-DOS Shmup stream last year. Was it last year, or was it early, or was it this year? I don't remember. I remember playing some other weird ones back in the day. I don't know if I'd say I loved them or anything, but I remember a game, I think it was called like Bats from Hell or something like that. It was a top-down vertical shooter. I'd probably made by some kid in like his college dorm room. I don't know. But I remember like you could actually pay for the full version. I tried to ask my dad to let me buy the full version. He declined, so I only ever had the shareware. Yeah, some weird stuff like that. There's a top-down DOS shooter I really like. It's called Threat. I've never been able to find the full version of the game. But it's really fun. It's got really good music. If any of you guys know where I can get the full version of Threat for MS-DOS, THREAT, please let me know. I would love to also stream it here on YouTube. It's also got really cool music and sound effects. So, Leo says he might go hack his PS Classic after the stream and finally make it useful. There you go. I mean, the PlayStation Classic is apparently really good if you hack it. One of my viewers actually had sent me a stick, a USB stick, that apparently would have hacked the console, but it never worked for me. It worked for another streamer he sent it to as well, but not me, so sad face. But now I have the PlayStation Mr. Core, so it's not really a priority. Although, if I could actually get the hack working, maybe it would... Nah, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I was gonna say I could hook the PlayStation Classic up to my HD TV, just leave it there, but I know I would probably just not use it. So I had all my other mini consoles on my HD TV, and they never got used either, so... Whoa! Alrighty, guys. I think that's gonna do it for me. I don't really see a whole lot else in chat. We only have a few people here right now. It's late at night. It's 2 a.m. now. My time. So yeah, I apologize for starting super late. But hopefully even for you guys watching on the archive, it was still fun and interesting. I always like doing Q&A type stuff because people get to toss me random questions that I might not get on regular streams or videos or whatnot. So, but yeah, Leo, that's correct. So yeah, say goodnight to Milo. Patchouli is in a kitty bed in the living room that she really likes. So apparently she was too good for hanging out in here tonight. But at least we got to see some Milo. We got to play with some Milo. He's gonna be up in 2 or 3 hours and he's gonna be wanting to be fed. And I haven't even gone to bed yet. What is Classic Reload? Oh, I see. It's an ad-ridden... Oh, boy. Holy hell, there's so many ads. Oh, I see. It's a site where you can actually play them in your browser. The question is it... There's no way to download it, though, right? I want to download it and put it on my Windows 95 machine. And I don't know if this is actually, like, the full game. God, it's ad-ridden like crazy. I'm getting off that site. I don't trust it. Hey, T. Gardner, he says, fun as always. Thanks, Austin. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, so I don't recommend people going to that site unless you've got some kind of ad blocker. Because there's like 5 or 6 ads on every page. And then when you try to play the game, it pops up with another ad. It's like those kind of shady emulation websites. Be careful. I mean, it looks like the games will load fine, but just have an ad blocker or something. Well, I mean, Retro Simon, it's out there on Classic Reload, but I need to be able to download it so I can put it on my actual old PCs. The last time I looked, I could not find it, like, at all. Yeah, so there's another one, DOS Games Archive. They only have the shareware version. And the problem is the game is called Threat, so when you type in Threat in a Google search, it's like you get Trend Micro and Microsoft's website and all these security vendors. Alright, Leo, if you manage to find it, let me know. I will link a video showing gameplay. Leo, I'm pretty sure My Abandonware is the shareware version. Let me double check it. Yeah, this is the shareware version. Yeah, that's actually where I think I downloaded my most recent version of it. Yeah, they've also commented, some people have commented saying it was just the shareware version, which is a bummer. Bummer, bummer, bummer. Yeah, no, Simon, it's definitely the shareware version. There's a couple of comments stating it's the shareware, and you can also see from the screenshots that they grabbed that the episode select only has one available episode. Yeah, that was my PlayStation Classic mod choice, Leo, is having a USB thumb drive, just plugging into the second controller port, but it didn't work for me. So I'm gonna have to actually try to get a new mod set up myself. Because again, it was sent in to me by one of our regulars, and but yeah, it didn't function for me. While another stick he had set up did work for another streamer I follow, so who knows what happened. Tom says that the PlayStation Classic is pretty picky about what USB drives it uses. It won't use anything USB 3.0. Interesting. Well, you know what? I might as well switch back over to gameplay for a few moments. I didn't realize I still had it on Milo that whole time. Leo says that might be a problem. He thinks the spare 128 gig drive he was planning on to use is 3.0. Ooh, boy. Oh, hey, Simon, if you ever find it, let me know. Do let me know. Find me on social media or something. And let me know. That's a game I'd love to play on my Windows 95 machine. And, you know, if I ever learn all the levels in it, I could do a live stream here on YouTube. Yeah, 64 gigs might be decent enough, or you can have multiple thumb drives. Like, I'm trying to see what is my... Alright, so I'm calculating all my PlayStation ISOs. Oh! Oh. Oh. Almost 400 gigabytes. Alright, never mind. I was like, oh, maybe a 64 gigabyte stick would be fine. No. Oh, boy. What if you use like a powered USB hard drive from like 15 years ago? Do you think that would work? I have a 500 gig hard drive. I could just wipe everything on it and use it for PlayStation ISOs. Oh, so Samsung USB 3 drives will work on it. Okay, interesting. It's good to know. Alright, guys. I think that's gonna actually do it for me. Say bye to Milo, for real this time. But yeah, thanks so much for hanging out today. Thanks for the few tips tonight. I do appreciate it, guys. Thanks for all the cool questions. I will be back with a actual gameplay stream here soon, where I'm actually playing. I've got to figure out what it's going to be. I've got to really dwell on my YouTube streams. We've been doing a lot of variety streams lately, which is fine. But I kind of want to get back to trying to do some more, like, structured playthroughs where I've been, you know, I'm well practiced and I have something to show off. But I don't know. We'll kind of see. I do have a lot of other quick plays in the pipeline. I think I have like 5 or 6 that aren't public yet. So stay tuned for those. Those will be posted, I guess, every Friday or so for the next, you know, month and a half. And then I'll try to have some other quick plays recorded too. I like having a nice backlog of videos because even if I get lazy and decide not to do anything, I still have content that can be posted. Yeah. Good night, Tom. Good night, Retro Simon. Good night, Leo. Good night, Crestline. And I think those are all the fellows still with me right now. Good luck on your PlayStation Classic, Leo. If you manage to find that MS-DOS game, let me know. And, yeah, I guess that's pretty much all that's on your plates. I know Leo's got the PlayStation Classic in his eyes. I am not going to be tinkering with anything. I've done a lot of tinkering lately. I just need a break. But, alrighty, guys. Thanks for hanging out. I will catch you later. Until the next one, take it easy.